This is it, the season finale for GRIDLIFE competition at Pittsburgh International Race Complex. This is the last event for the season for GRIDLIFE drivers and the last event for Pit Race with GRIDLIFE drivers here. They announced about a month ago that this racetrack is closing forever in November, so this is the last hurrah for all the GRIDLIFE competitors involved in their fierce championships like Falcon Club TR, Street Class, IBOC GLTC, and GRIDLIFE GT. It all comes down to this last weekend of competition. It's gorgeous. It's a little bit cool here this weekend though, but it's going to be thrilling on track, 19 corners and over 2.5 miles. Let's have a look at Pittsburgh International Race Complex.
About 2.7 miles and 19 corners around here. Pittsburgh International Race Complex, the last GRIDLIFE event here forever. As, of course, we announced earlier in the broadcast that this will be the last event for GRIDLIFE here as this racetrack is closing. But what a shame, because it is absolutely spectacular. Kyle Heyer joined by Alex Moss. Alex, you've had a couple of laps around here now. Turns 1 and 2, such a fast sequence into 3, 4, 5. A great sector 2 that leads you up this really steep hill.
Yeah, big commitment circuit, I think. 1's very high commitment, 3's very high commitment, and a lot of blind corners that you just have to have faith that it's going to be there.
Yeah, then you head through the S's, turn 7 through 11, into turn 12. This is a trouble spot here as well. That tire bundle you see right by the numbers there already got run into once today. Over the crest at 14, then a fast kink at 15, through 16, and immediately onto the brakes for turn 17. Your last passing opportunity before you come around the bend there right by the water tower and back up to complete a lap. It'd be about 1 minute and 45 seconds on average around here. That's a pretty quick lap for a time attack car, but when we get to B and A, that's what we're going to be seeing later in track battle.
International Race Complex for day 1 of GRIDLIFE Pit Race, the season finale for GRIDLIFE competition. Today we're going to be watching primarily the GRIDLIFE Track Battle Championship as the drivers set out for their first of their 3 qualifying heats. It'll be Mario Moroni, Evan McLaren, and Peter Granberg going for the title, and it came down to just 0.03 of a second between them last year. And we'll get a bit of a preview of that alongside the battles in IBOC GLTC, where Matan Rosenberg and Erica Till will get their first practice laps on their Falcon tires, getting set for their epic battle with just 8 points between them. We'll see how they line up for race 1 after qualifying this afternoon. Plenty more, including Drift, GRIDLIFE GT, and some Rush Series action coming your way.
And so far today, it's been a really nice day. It started about 35 degrees this morning, and on track early was the GRIDLIFE Rush Series. Ayrton Grimm is back for more in the calico orange and purple car. A handful of other cars like Robert Desjardins are back, and it's about a 20-car field for the GRIDLIFE Rush Series. Just an encore after their season championship wrapped up at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Paul Klitsch is back out here again, but notably missing the top runners in our championship because Ryan Leach already locked that up. Josh Fleury in the number 48 Subaru Outback is here, and a whole host of others in IBOC GRIDLIFE Touring Cup as their championship heads to a close this weekend. Just 8 points between Matan Rosenberg and Erica Till in what will be one of the fiercest fights in IBOC GLTC history. Other drivers returning to competition this weekend. Thomas Moss in the number 515. We see 131 Elisa Keys is back on track here this weekend. She was actually here a couple of years ago in 2022. We had our GRIDLIFE Super Grid Enduro concept. That was kind of fun for a while. Drift cars have already taken to the road. More of this tomorrow and Sunday as we take to the racetrack. Burning up tires. This place is abrasive. Maybe you get half a lap here, Alex, but it is a tough racetrack on tires. We've seen that across all the series, especially in Drift.
Yeah, really tough on tires. We're seeing that on our cars, seeing the tires wear pretty heavily, but it's such a fun track.
Super fun track, and then we were back on drifting a little bit more later in the day. Mark IV Supra and a handful of others, but man, the action so far has been intense, but plenty more coming your way with the GRIDLIFE Track Battle Time Attack Heat number 3 in just a moment. And having a look over the beautiful orange and purple trees here at Pittsburgh International Race Complex, it is time for the GRIDLIFE Track Battle Championship. This is GRIDLIFE Pit Race, and it's time for heat number 3 here in just a moment's time as we head out on the racetrack. We've got Drift on track at the moment, but it will be track battle coverage here in just a couple of minutes. Alex, we saw records broken this morning. We saw them broken again in some cases in heat number 2, but heat 3 that's upcoming after the drift session here, this is kind of the heat of the day, so to speak, mid-60s. Yeah, it's still a cool racetrack by summertime terms, but maybe not quite as ideal as this morning.
Yeah, definitely not as ideal as this morning, especially after the drift cars are out there running. So I would not expect to see a whole lot in the way of records or fast laps in this session. Drivers just working on nailing the line, cleaning up their execution, and all that kind of stuff.
Our grid workers down there, see Carson and Julia. Carson is always dancing on the broadcast. I have so many clips of him doing little jiggies down there on the pit lane. He's having a great time getting set to go. And you see one of the drivers in the GRIDLIFE Track Battle Championship there, Sam Dooling, lined up alongside the drift cars. He's on grid and ready to go here as soon as these cars are released. He'll probably get an out and in, maybe another lap or two, but it's always fun to see the mixing of different competitions or different formats and driving disciplines here between our time attack coverage, our wheel-to-wheel, and also the drift. Alex, it's not a grid life if it's not all of them.
That's right. That's one of the beauties of these events is you get to see a whole host of different stuff. You see a lot of American muscle in the Corvettes and things like that, a lot of import type cars. And then even if the track stuff isn't to your liking, there's often all kinds of cool stuff just sitting around the paddock or in the organized car shows that show up here.
And honestly, some of these cars are car shows at speed. I mean, look at this Mark IV Supra with the T-top effectively. And it sounds like Sam Dooling, I thought he was lining up for grid, but it looks like he's going to go out there and chase some drift cars, which is the Sam Dooling thing to do in the middle of your track battle weekend, chasing records. You're also chasing drift cars. Why not? That's fun. But see the red flag displayed there from the standard leads, just closing the pit lane exit because they've got a cleanup still happening down at turn number 3. While we wait for that, again, well, let's have a look here at the point standings as well, maybe for the Falcon Club SC category, and kind of give us a perspective of what we're dealing with as far as Mike Jansen. The track record was broken this morning by Jansen, but here's Sam Dooling, 89 points, sitting in second place. Chris Rice isn't here. He was the previous record holder. David Best is here, though, and so is Nick Berg. So a handful of drivers in that top 10 are here looking for some more points on the weekend, and there still is some shifting and shuffling to happen here. But Mike Jansen off to a great start, and what a season it's been for him in that Honda Civic.
Yeah, I mean, 103 points, one off a perfect season. If he gets a record and a win here, he will have a perfect season. So he can't get much better than that, and I'm sure he's very thrilled with how his season has gone.
Yeah, so again, Jansen will likely see back on track again, and for him, with the championship basically locked up, as we've been saying this week, and it's a victory lap. You're just trying to get one more record, maybe be the driver that holds it forever here at Pittsburgh International Race Complex. Maybe we'll have a look at Club TR points while we're here, because we're in a little bit of a delay, so we might as well move on up to Club TR. And this is the battle that everyone's been watching coming into the weekend. Really 5 drivers within a handful of points. Mario Moroni looks like he's further ahead than he actually is. If Granberg or McLaren win this event, they beat Mario in the title, and it all will come down to podium sprint. But look at how close things are from basically Jeremy Bailey on up. It's incredible.
Yeah, and all 5 of those drivers are here today, and any one of them could win. So I think Mario obviously would like to win the event, but then it becomes an anyone except Peter or Evan for him. So he'd be more than happy to see Stan Feingold or Jeremy Bailey win an event here this week.
Yeah, we'll have a look at Street Class as well. Might as well just work our way up the list at this stage. But Street Class, again, it's another one of those championships that looks a little bit further away than it is. Joshua Hulka, 102 points. By any stretch of the imagination, that looks like he's got a championship locked up almost. But Andy Holst is here, only has 3 events. All 3 were winning and with track records. If he does it again this weekend, which he's currently seeded to do, track record and the fastest of street, he will beat Josh Hulka by 2 points.
Yeah, so I would say Andy's really sitting in the driver's seat here for this weekend. He's had a perfect season for the number of events he's showed up to. And if he continues that streak, he will be the champion. If he doesn't, then Josh Hulka will be the champion.
Yeah, so we'll go through the rest of the points a little bit later on. We will have a couple of laps here of drift. Sounds like we're going to push the start of track battle back about 5 minutes just to let these guys finish out their session on course. So we got a little drift action here, Alex. I know you didn't necessarily sign up to commentate drift, but I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit this weekend, mostly because often the ASM guys are doing a little bit of everything. So yep, you probably have a little experience, no?
I've had a little bit of experience riding in drift cars, and then obviously we helped Robert Thorne at the Formula Drift events the last couple of years as well. So have been participating from the paddock in drift events, I'd say.
Yeah, this is one of the few places I've gotten a chance to ride around in a drift car, and it was with Pete Collins last year. He and Andy had a little coming together at the top of the hill, which was a lot of fun. But, you know, talking about the different disciplines and what makes grid life, this is part of it. And I think, you know, some of this is demonstrative for the spectators. You can kind of hang out and watch it and cheer on your drift buddies, but at the same time, it just adds something a little different. It's a different spectacle. It's also not competitive, and that's on purpose. We've talked at times about having a competition with the drift cars that are here, but the drivers have, no, we compete everywhere else. We don't want to do that here. We want to hang out with our buddies. We want to get on each other's doors and run tandems without having to worry about the pressures of competition, and that's what makes this sort of a unique environment for drifters.
Yeah, it does, and I'm sure most of these guys will actually say, even if it's not a competition, as in there's no trophies being handed out, it's still a competition, right? When you're out there with your buddies, you're still trying to be the best, show off a little bit, get right on the guy's door, bully him a little bit. Those are all the stories that we hear in the paddock when the drift drivers come back in.
Yeah, in lieu of having transponders and things, I think it would be really fun to throw one of those Fire Laps fire links in these things and really have a competition on entry speed and something of the sort that you normally wouldn't compete over in a drift competition. But Matt Kaufman's really been pushing the boundaries with that. Places like Laguna Seca and Road America, 160 mile an hour corner entries where he would just throw the thing sideways and basically just handbrake slide all the way to turn one. He's been a wild man out there. It's been so much fun to watch.
Yeah, real spectacle. It's like you say, it's super fun to watch. How can you not get excited about it? The spectacle, the noise, the smoke, what looks like impending crashes. It's so exciting to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, even in the chat, people said sometimes you just need to have fun. And I think that's a huge part of it, too, especially with how serious the competition has gotten the last couple of years. And this is something that the competitors will do to themselves, Alex. You know it well, how the competition will drive you crazy because you're just focused on being the next fastest thing, doing the next fastest mod. And for the drift stuff here, yes, they're having friendly competitions with their buddies, but there's no winner at the end of the event, no trophy to hoist, so that pressure drops away. And I think they have a lot of fun in this paddock.
Yeah, I think the winners are the spectators. I mean, it's the most accessible spectator sport, spectator motorsport, I think, that there is. It's so obvious what you're looking at when it comes to these exhibition type drift events. It's so obvious when somebody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that is just giving a show.
Yep, how about that? Nice tight shot there from our guys around the course here for Project Prime, doing a great job getting this set up. That's one of the unique things, and I hope that we'll get a chance to talk about this more next year. The setup for an event like this is not a racetrack that we've really seen broadcast in a lot of different series. I know Moto America has been here before. I know that NASA did a little bit of streaming here, but it's really not precedented to on at least a regular basis to set up this event for broadcast. So there's a lot that went into selecting the camera locations, and when they saw that downhill run into turn 5, like, we got to put a camera down there because that is the iconic corkscrew like shot, right?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's. I mean, just from today, seeing it today, it just has become the shot for pit race.
Yeah, great drift track too. Long flowing corners, especially on the backside of the racetrack. It just, you talked about the back and forth earlier today about how it's always left to right to left. And that leads to a great flow for drift in particular.
Yeah, it gives a good spectacle watching the drift drivers switch sides and watching those cars snap back and forth. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, pretty high speed, especially on this back end of the racetrack, sector 3, and really, really high speed for these cars, probably 130 plus if you were really laying it down towards the turn 17 braking zone. And again, if you're going to have a Supra, you might as well do something fun with it. And there's some really cool Supra builds out there. We actually saw a Mark IV Supra run in track battle earlier this year, which is not a car that you see a lot for a variety of reasons.
No, they're very expensive at the moment. So you don't see them being pushed a lot on track. So it's always nice when you do get to see one, because they are beautiful cars, an iconic Japanese muscle car as well.
Yeah, I feel like you typically see them with, super fat rear tires, and they're set up in like a drag racing configuration more than they are road racing. So always something a little different. But we'll be getting these cars off the road here in a moment, and we'll be turning things back over to the GRIDLIFE Track Battle Championship and get Group D underway. But they're still sending it down there into 17. There was some discussion on Jacob Gettin's podcast after Laguna Seca, or during Laguna Seca, where they were chatting with a couple of the pro drivers from Formula Drift and about Laguna Seca in particular. And they had thought that actually if they were going to bring Formula Drift to a place like Laguna Seca, you'd actually want to go up the corkscrew the other way, go uphill, just because of the way that the tandems sort of work. You kind of have more control, and it's a little bit easier to modulate when you're going up a hill versus down a hill. Just an interesting conversation I thought was kind of fun. The what ifs. I know that FD's in Long Beach on LB2, they call it, the alternative layout to the Long Beach Grand Prix circuit. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. But here this weekend, we're just having fun up at Pit Race.
Yeah, and they're doing that second event at Long Beach because, familiar story, they've lost track as well in Irwindale, which was always known to be the kind of home of Formula Drift, and they always had their finals there. And I believe last year was the last event for Irwindale before that track closed to become whatever it's going to become now.
Yeah, certainly. So sounds like the checker is out at the start-finish line, so cars are headed back around and pitting in this time, and will be under a minute until release for Track Battle Group D, if that's what you're hanging out for. And excited to get these cars back on the road. It's a nice field this weekend in the Track Battle Time Attack group. And I wanted to just double check before I said anything incorrect, but it is one of our largest Time Attack groups of the season, if I recall. And 109 tickets sold for this event, for this last event here. And I think there was a significant number of people that were like, once they heard the track was selling, it's like, this is really your last chance, so you might as well get out there. This has an ASM sticker on it. Who's this?
That's Braden. That's Andy's nephew, actually.
Nice.
He's getting into drifting and doing really well.
Yeah, really cool. And with a C5 Corvette, really great platform to start with basically anywhere in the Grid Life ladder, whether you're track battling or GLTCing or in drift.
Yeah, let's see a Club SC one.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past someone to try it at this rate, but I mean, they had Miatas that were overpowered for the Class Alex. I don't know if we want to get all the way up to detuning a C5 all the way down, but see Sam with the, I don't know if that's the fist or the hang loose out the window.
He's just having a good time.
Yeah, and he'll probably line right back up on grid to go back out in this next session. I mean, I don't know what he does or what his car gets for fuel economy, but I'll bet you he runs through a tank and a half on a Grid Life weekend. That car has so many miles on it. Track miles, cross-country trip miles, driving to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and all that to finish second in the championship. I mean, what a great season. What are just the sights that he's seen in this car over the years. So he's going to turn off the road, actually. I thought he would go line right back up on grid, but he's going to elect to head back. It looks like he might have run the checker.
Yeah, someone didn't get the memo. But I'm sure nobody's complaining. Certainly not the passenger he's got as a ride-along there.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's so great about drifting and the drift cars is, again, for spectators, actually having the opportunity to get into the cars and go for a ride in these drift cars is really something that we can't, or maybe shouldn't be doing in time attack cars, and certainly not in wheel-to-wheel cars.
Yeah, it's like it kind of makes this, you mentioned, more accessible. And the experience of being in a race car on a track is something that feels very aspirational, but at a Grid Life, it's sort of, oh yeah, I did that once.
Yep.
I did that twice. I did it 4 times. It feels a lot easier to do that here than it does anywhere else. And that's by virtue of a lot of drivers that offer up their passenger seats. I've ridden with Matan Rosenberg a number of times in his race cars. I've ridden with a handful of drivers like Tom O'Gorman before. A whole host of drivers here in this paddock have offered. It was a little easier back when we had more HPDE.
Yeah.
But, it's because you can't have people during competition sessions, but the drift drivers take full advantage of that. Green flag, though. It looks like it'll be Track Battle Time Attack now heading onto the road, finally, for their 3rd heat of the weekend. And really curious to see what kind of lap times are running in comparison to earlier. So we'll see how things go. If folks are interested at home, we're testing a new timing page that I literally just put together today to solve some issues that we were having. So if you go to gridlife-timing.netlify.app, you can bring up a live timing page, and it's going to be very broken, but we're gonna keep working on it through the off season and hopefully make it a little bit better. So cars on the road here for the Grid Life Track Battle Time Attack and warming up for their first lap of this heat, and head down the hill and back around. Here we go. Amos Winter in that Porsche down at the bottom of the screen. Love that car. And it's a One Lap of America entry that we'd seen a couple of rounds previous. I think at Lime Rock Park we saw it.
Sure, yeah.
So really neat to have Amos back this weekend, paired up with the Robertson Racing crew down in the paddock. And Sean in the chat says, has GridLife 2026 schedule been announced? It has not been announced yet, but I know it will be very soon. Again, can't speak to specifics, but it will probably be before we typically announce it, which we typically make those announcements during the Performance Racing Industry Convention in December. It will likely be before that, so I would anticipate in the next couple of weeks probably knowing when that will be announced, but just keep your eye out, www.grid.life for more information. And headed back around Falcon Club SC. Adam Jabbay's got a big old smile on his face because he's going to sit down and join me in a little bit. I'm excited to have Adam Jabbay. When's the last time you commentated a broadcast, Adam? 2-3 years ago, he says. So it's been a little while. Oh, it was Heartland Park the last time? All right, so it was the finale then. So
you just enjoy closing tracks with your commentary, huh?
If you see, there was like this is not that funny, but there was someone that made a meme with the Grim Reaper of like GridLife at the finale tracks like Heartland and now Pit Race, but you know, we swear we're not doing anything to them. But down and around, we're taking the green flag now finally for the first lap of Track Battle Q3, and across the stripe here. We'll be following primarily Falcon Club SC once again, but Club TR competitors, street class competitors, and a few others making their way around the road. And Eric Nur in the 240 is the first one to trip the timing and scoring. Liam Foster, Amos Winter, Chris Owens, Adam Cook, Austin O'Brien, and Luis Rodriguez on the racetrack. So got a really fun story about Stan Feingold as well when he gets on the racetrack. Caught up with him during the break as well. Big wiggle for Eric in this 240 Honda Civic. This is not really a generation of Civic I feel like you see a lot, especially in the four-door configuration.
Yeah, it isn't. Certainly not on the tracks. I don't know why. I'm sure you know the Honda experts will be able to chime in and say why these are not the ideal cars, even though it seems to be working pretty well here this weekend.
So Eric working his way down through the S's and headed back around. Nice wide fenders on that thing. He's got them rolled out as wide as he can. He's a Falcon Club TR competitor, so the standard setup on these cars is a 255 width Falcon RT 660 or RT 660 plus, excuse me. And that is, while in the range of track day tires probably isn't all that wide, it is wide enough that on older cars, and even things like the contemporary GR86, I've heard that they struggle a little bit to get wider than a 245 in the rear. So that's pretty big, wide, sticky tire for cars of that vintage, and it'll, you know, force you to get a little creative with the fenders on these cars sometimes.
Yeah, it's a wide tire for that amount of power, really. You know, when we're talking about 100 wheel horsepower, it's a very wide tire for that amount of power.
Down into turn 17. Oop, dropping the tire there on the right just a little bit, and into the braking zone. And again, this is a very busy group. There's a lot of cars on the road at the moment. And we'll see what Eric has for a lap time. And also curious what he ran earlier to see if he improves on it. So Eric crossed the stripe at 206.970, and for...
It's an improvement. Just a better 10th.
Not a bad start to the session to immediately go PB in your first lap. Austin O'Brien in the Falcon Club SC car. Goes a little quick there on his first lap, 2:14.235. And down the hill again here in this relatively simple Falcon Club TR build. This class really designed with the intention of capturing a lot of the common track day mods. So that includes things like basic engine swaps. You can't modify internals or things of the sort, but you can get away with some pretty extensive modifications if you read the rule book very carefully. And so the fastest Club TR cars are some of the fastest cars here. Bruce Yoon in the CRZ is up to third place now, as well as we watch Richard Sawicki in the open top NC make his way around the course. And there's Nick Berg in the other EK Honda Civic. Headed down the hill, and now Nick is, I thought he was top 10 of the standings. We went over this earlier. He was P9 in the championship standings, chasing Jim Smith, who I think is running an Eibach GLTC this weekend. So a good number of points for Nick Berg would put him up as high as 6th. So this could be a pretty good weekend for him. And then the venerable Honda S2000. This one driven in the number 837 car by, I actually haven't seen this car on the road.
I don't think we've seen this one so far.
And it's Nathan Warner behind the wheel of that S2000. Kind of a nice looking fastback sort of rear glass on that car. The S2000, probably one of the best cars ever built. I mean, I think Honda had it just right with that car, and it's a real shame that it's not around these days, but we've seen them get used extensively in the GRIDLIFE community for all sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased towards the S2000. I think it's a wonderful car, and it's very versatile in where it can compete in the GRIDLIFE sort of community ecosphere, whatever you want to call that. It's just a great platform to build on.
Oh, big smoke out of the Cobalt SS. Was that a lockup?
I think it was.
A rear lockup, perhaps, for the SS. That was Dave Laps behind the wheel of that car, the number 823. That was a topic when we went to Lime Rock. Just a lot of the front-wheel drive cars struggling to keep the rear tires spinning under braking because you put all the load on the nose. And despite that lockup, he went to the top of the board in Street Class 211.508.
Yeah, I mean, on those cars, probably the rear brakes are not doing a whole lot. So as long as he doesn't have them locked up as he turns in, I don't think it would have hurt him a whole lot.
So headed down the hill now is Warner in the 837, the Falcon Club TR entrant. Carving his way through here. Not exactly sure what he's got under the hood of this car, but it is common to see K-Series engines under the hood. It sort of has that sound to it.
Yeah, probably a K-Series. Probably a K-Series, either a K-Series or the standard F-Series are the typical engines, especially in Club TR.
Yeah, I think, you know, so there was a whole bunch of Club TR S2000s at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and there was a conversation struck up about the F20 and F22 engines. They're very strong engines and good engines on their own, but I think the challenge was that they're going to get pretty expensive to replace, because it was the only engine. That engine was only sold in that car, whereas the K-Series engines were sold across Honda's entire lineup.
Yeah, I think that the F-Series engine, the F22 and F20, is undoubtedly the technically superior engine over the K-Series. The problem is it does make a ton of torque, like the K-Series does, so you don't have that mid-range punch that you can get out of a K-Series. It doesn't have the ubiquity that the K-Series has. You can't just go to junkyards and find them. They're also difficult to rebuild, as I understand it, and I'm getting out over my skis here on the technical aspect, but the linings on the cylinder walls make it very difficult to rebuild. So once you score a cylinder wall, it is junk. And then finally, just because it doesn't have that ubiquity, it doesn't have the aftermarket support that the K-Series has. So for the cost of, or at least when I did my first K-Series or K-Swap, in the S2000, for the cost of one new F-Series, or not new F-Series, one replacement F-Series, you could really pay for the K-Swap. And then from there, all future engines just became a lot cheaper. And then if you did the swap before you blew up your F-Series, you can often sell that working F-Series for as much as the K-Swap really cost.
This 277 car I don't have on the timing and scoring. I don't know who's behind the wheel of it, but I love their energy. Is that a Lincoln or is that a Mercury or a Ford?
I think it's Mercury. It's a Crown Vic derivative, it looks like.
I don't even have it on my list to know. It's not coming across the timing. I'm not sure if they got a transponder issue or what the issue is. But man, I caught up with Adam Cook earlier, who's got that Lincoln, and I asked why this. He goes, "It's the car that I had."
Yeah,
and honestly, that's as good a reason as any.
Yeah, Gears and Gasoline actually did a little video about the best track car you can have, and really it's the one that you can afford to put on track was my argument on that, and yeah. So if it's a car you have, and you can put that on track and you don't have to make a huge investment, then that's the best track car.
Okay, I know why I'm confused now. The 277 is listed as a street class car on the stickers, but is Club TR on the timing and scoring. And I imagine that it's supposed to be a street class car because I imagine this is a V8.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that'll get sorted. But I was looking in the street class area for Alec in-house and did not find him. But again, unique car. What do they call those? Panther bodies is the name for the chassis generation.
Is it? I'm not sure. So. I'm not up on my Crown Vics.
That's like a deep, like regular car reviews reach on YouTube. So maybe not. But
you used to be able to spot their headlights though pretty well in the mirror. They had very distinctive headlights. I knew that. Them being red and blue helped.
Yeah, the red and blue definitely helped. So there's Mark Gatos behind the wheel of the 444. This car is run with a handful of other drivers in the Eibach GLTC series as well. So I think Mark shares this with his son. And this is running in track mod, and this is what we were talking about earlier with GLTC cars. Depending on how you have them built, they're either going to land in Club TR or they're going to land in track mod. Typically, track mod with the extensive modifications that you've got to an Eibach GLTC machine. If you've got the dashboard all ripped out and things of this sort, but kind of cool to see that car getting used in a couple different places. And this is the Integra that we saw struggling a little bit this morning. It's the 640 of Elaine Mabuku, and he had an off at turn 17 right here on the opening lap of his session. Looks like he's got it woed down a little better now. But P3 in street class at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think we saw him go out for the second heat, but good to see it's back out on track this heat.
And right behind one of our Falcon Club SC competitors as well in trail, the Mazda 2 of Isaac Rodriguez, I believe.
Sounds like a very stock Integra.
Quiet, you mean?
Very quiet. Sounds like that just came right off the showroom floor. Put some stickers on it and send it out onto the track, which is great, right? That's what we'd love to see.
Yeah, there's Elaine working up through turn 2 now. And this new generation, whether it be the Civic SI or Type R or even the Acura Integra Type S, just great platforms. I think the Integra probably a little heavier, sort of skewed towards the luxury end of the market, but I think the base driving dynamics of these modern Hondas are still very, very solid. And we see that with the current Civic Type R. I think there's some discussion to be had about the current cars and how much potential is on the table, because the older cars, you've got more aftermarket support and things, and I think it'll take it a couple of years before the current cars are really where the drivers will be able to take them. But
yeah, and we've seen that go through, like in the Street Mod, when the Supra came out, we saw in Street Mod that it take that path, that we had the older cars that were very capable because of all the aftermarket support and all of the different things that we could do to those old cars and replace, different systems and what have you, whereas the deep integration of the modern cars just wasn't there. And so the first couple of years, Jackie was having all kinds of problems with that Supra and throwing codes for this, that, and the other, the seatbelt thing not being in, and so that would throw a code, or the mag ride didn't work properly, all that kind of stuff. But as they get that sorted out, and as the aftermarket kind of caught up, you've seen that platform really take off and be a real weapon everywhere. And not a lot of people remember the struggles that Jackie had with that car, just getting it to work in 2020, 2021. You just see that it became this platform. So I think these other newer modern cars will go through that same sort of progression if there is somebody out there that's willing to do the research and put the effort behind figuring that stuff out.
I think you're exactly right. Logan Geyer in the BRZ there. I don't think we'd seen him on track yet. He and Peter Granberg were working on getting the brakes sorted on that car, putting brake fluid in about a half an hour ago. So I think that was the first laps he's turned this session. David Best, by the way, he did his personal best of the day, 2:11.308. For him, that was better by about 0.3 of a second. And this is Bronson McNeamer, still a Miata, still number 114, but very different than his typical track mod entry. So I'm not sure if this is a new project or just another car that he had laying around the shop, but either way, he's having a ball. And again, NA Miata, let's talk famous cars of all time, S2000 and the NA generation Mazda MX-5. I've driven one, I've driven a couple of different generations of MX-5. I've driven 2 of these actually. Well, that's a lot for me. And I've driven a spec Miata version of one, and I drove a road going one, and they're just fantastic cars. slow.
Yeah, you can imagine. I've never driven an NA. I did get a chance to. I've done a couple of endurance races in NB Miata with the Lucky Dog or Shaky Dog team. And yeah, great fun cars. Love those cars, and very sad when we when it met its end at Heartland Park.
Oh, that was that car.
Yes.
Yeah, with Robert Thorne, there was some kind of mechanical issue with that car a couple years ago. That was a real shame. But yeah, I mean, great cars, not very fast, but man, they teach you all the things you need to know about driving dynamics. And I'd never driven one before I took it out on track in the rain at Road America. If you want a more threatening aura than rain at Road America for your first time ever on the racetrack, the saving grace is that it was a car that was as approachable as an MX-5. Here's a second generation Miata, the NB generation. Dylan Rogers behind the wheel of this car in Falcon Club TR. And we've seen NCs and we've seen NBs. We've got all four represented here this weekend. There's Dylan. And I don't see him up in the top 5 of the Club TR group as it stands, but currently scored 6th, the 207.538 for Mr. Rogers. And that is 206.9. So he's a little bit off of his best of the weekend with this session so far. And he'll come back around, and that'll be the conclusion of Group D. Then we'll have one more group, and we'll turn over our commentary to Adam Jabay, who will take me through the rest of the day. And Alex, we appreciate you spending your time up here with us this weekend. While we're waiting for these cars to kind of cool on down, tell me about GridLife GT. You're running that again this weekend, second time with the S2000 that you've got sort of configured for another series, but playing around here in this series, you've had a couple sessions on track. Your first impressions were, this is a fun little track, but anything else that did you learn this morning?
Very busy track. Second session, that was my takeaway. It was this track, I think, is the busiest track that we've visited. There's always something going on and very little time for a break. Our goal here this weekend, we've entered into GLGT. That's where it fits in the GridLife wheel-to-wheel series. Our goal is to test the car. We had a lot of overheating issues with it at Autobahn. In the dry, it couldn't go more than a lap. So the ASM team have worked their magic over the last several weeks, and now that car is able to do full sessions, and it's a real handful. A lot of fun.
Well, cars are rolling on the racetrack, and you say a lot of fun. There's people having fun in the chat, heckling their favorite drivers. I really enjoy the fact that we're watching track battle coverage of this is amateur grassroots racing time attack, but there are fans in the chat, and there was a particular fan that said that Daniel Persing drinks red wine with fish. How horrible, Alex.
I mean, that guy has a family. You don't have to go after him like that.
Go run right for the jugular. No, that's fantastic. Yes, I do keep my eye on the chat. I try to keep this as rhetorical as possible for the most part, but sometimes people make me giggle a little too much. So down and around, and we're starting our warm-up lap here for Group C. Cars notable in this session are going to be Joshua Halka in Group C, interestingly, because he didn't really get very representative laps in the previous session, and this is going to be a compounding issue, I think, if you can't get a good solid lap to put him back up into B or A.
Yeah, it is. It is one of those things that you kind of have an issue of your own making. If you can't get a representative lap early, you end up fighting through traffic and fighting among cars that you don't. I don't want to say don't belong with, but because you do belong there, because that's the lap you've set. But you end up in traffic that you're easily faster than, and so you can't get it all back all at once. You have to incrementally deal with the traffic and just be faster than the cars in that group to push you up to Group B, and then do the same thing to push you up to where you naturally should be. So that's a challenge that Halka has now.
So coming back around turns 14, 15, and 16. And leading car in this group is that blue S2000. That's Foster Johnson. He impressed us with his laps in Heat 1, put him inside the top 5 in Falcon Club TR. And I think as far as where his running order currently stands, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think he's P7 now. So he's got a little bit of work to do to get into the podium sprint, which is 5th on forward. But just beginning our flying laps, there's Halka in that turn-in concept Subaru navigating turn 1. Now he's got Daniel Persing just up the road from him here. So a little traffic, and that car will have way more power than Persing's GR80 or BRZ will have.
Yep.
But again, in the corners, that BRZ, well, you see right there, he's actually going to get a point by. That was nice communication and coexistence there for both those cars.
Yeah, it was, and there's no point really fighting that. As Josh is going to come through at some point, and it just ruins both laps if you don't organize it. So why not make it easy and let him through?
And there's Persing in the 230, clawing his way up the hill there, and then see Halka right out to the edge of the road with the all-wheel drive. There's Foster Johnson in the blue S2000, and just watch that gap close on the straights. Now, again, advantage will come back to the S2000's favor here through these twistier sections. But Halka really, he actually did a nice job of hunking it into these turn 7 and 8 complex and actually gained some ground.
Yeah, he did, and he's getting back to the Halka that we know here. He's going to likely get frustrated by this S2000, but nope, he's going to get through pretty easily there. So again, commentator's curse.
Yeah, well, and there's something else to pay attention to too. I noticed when this car rolled by to start the lap, and Mark Kilgore's got the eagle eyes on this too, and also part of the Turn-In Concepts crew noted that the wheels on this Subaru are red. These are new wheels for this event. I haven't seen these before, so he maybe was on a different set of tires, which if you're looking at trying to have a successful weekend and come out on top in a championship, why waste your good tires while you're still learning the racetrack? So why don't you learn on the scrubs, put on a new set of tires, and then go for some speed? So maybe that's what we're seeing here.
It could be what we're seeing. I mean, a set of tires though is generally going to be the difference between, you know, a few tenths here and there, maybe a second. It's not going to be a 6-7 second difference. But that's an improvement of at least 2 seconds, and he dealt with 2 cars in traffic there on that lap as well.
Yeah, well, he had a 58.7 previously. Now it's a 55.6. Yeah, so pretty big gain there. And Foster Johnson to a 2-minute.286. That's a couple seconds shy of his best. Marciano in the 375 Honda Civic up to 3rd place, and Halka getting a little bit more aggressive now on the run down towards turn 5.
Yeah, I think we're seeing Halka start to push here, and this is not the Halka we saw in the first 2 sessions here. I don't think this is down to just new tires. Maybe, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I think just more confidence too. I mean, again, just he had told me that he wasn't a huge fan of this racetrack. We talked about how he had previously had an incident here in a Champ Car race a couple of years ago. So it's probably just taking this with a very careful approach to avoid having anything like that happen here this weekend, especially when the stakes are so high, Alex. It's very easy to make a mistake when the pressure's on. And yeah, so swap it over to a different set of tires. Maybe it's not even a brand new set, but just a different set.
Yep.
And just get a different feel it out. Giles Marciano in this FK8 Civic Type R. JZ Motorsports stickers on the side of that, so that's a pretty well-known crew around these parts here in Grid Life. And the FK8 Honda Civic Type R, another one of these cars that we've seen developed to a pretty high degree, especially in street class, with drivers like Eddie Siegel, Cody Umba have run these for a while. So again, I think that the newest car, what's the new one called now? The FL5.
Yeah, FL5.
I think it'll be a couple of years before I really see them at the very pointy end, kind of, you know, with this same level of development. But I'm also curious. I don't know much about how much is different underneath the hood, but I imagine that, or even the suspension, but I imagine that there are some differences. They're such different silhouettes.
Yes.
I have to imagine that they're pretty different.
They are. I mean, one of the things I love about this one that we're looking at here is, and I don't mean any offense by this, but just how juvenile the car looks. I think it's so fun. It's such a wild car for a major manufacturer to have put out on showroom floors, and I love it for that.
Just huge wing, you know, massive air intakes and grills and sharp corners and angry headlights.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what you know, 18-year-old me would have done by myself right off the showroom floor. So that I think is super cool. The latest one, the FL5, looks so much more grown up.
Yeah.
I've never driven either of them, but as I understand it, it's you know, even more capable than this one is. But just looks so much more grown up and looks so much less like this rowdy, playful thing that we can take out to the track.
So lots going on to keep our eyes on. I wanted to also note Brent Walker in the 699. is a car I don't think we'd seen on track previously. No results previously for Brent Walker. So, and the 579 of James Nichols.
And look at that, right on cue, the grown-up looking Civic as well. Just a little bit more rounded off, a little bit more subtle. Well, not a little bit more, it's way more subtle, isn't it?
Yeah.
But still a great looking car.
That's Chris Nahill behind the wheel. And I prefer this car over the previous one, but I have to say that I like how both of them look. And again, they're just, it's so interesting to me how different the front profile is, and just how different like the shadow of the car is. Very similar way to if you look at the first generation twins like the FRS and BRZ compared to the second generation car, how the GRD6 nose is so much taller. It's almost the other way around with this, where the Civic Type R now is very low to the ground, very wide looking in comparison to its predecessor.
Yeah, I agree. A lot more of that sort of fastback look rather than the hatchback look as well. Lot less aggressive slope on the back of that car.
Daniel Persing, a little personal improvement there, 158.0. So that's a personal best for him. Foster Johnson, not quite able to pip his best. Josh Halka stayed at that 55 for now. And then Tim Lutz in the Street Mod Corvette, a 56.8. That is a pretty sizable pickup, about 2.3 seconds. And Foster Johnson's back on it down the hill, using a little bit of road there on the exit and charging down to turn 5.
Yep, he is on it looking for everything now.
Yeah, a little bit of tail happiness leaving that corner at the bottom of the hill. Bumper completely gone. And just as efficient as he can aero-wise. Love the blue paint on this car as well. Here's Foster. It looked really playful through here earlier. A little bit more gripped up now. And this is where, you know, making some subtle changes in your suspension between setups. This is a fairly smooth racetrack from what I can recall. I haven't driven it in a year, but I don't really recall a lot of crazy bumps. But the curbing can upset you, so maybe that's a consideration for your suspension setup, is you've got fairly consistent loads, so you can maybe set up your suspension stiffer.
Yeah, there isn't. It is very, on a macro level, it is a very smooth track. You do feel that abrasiveness through the steering wheel and through the car, though. You feel like the texture of the track being very rough. Look at that. Being very rough and being hard on the tires without it being a bumpy track. It's an odd feeling, being able to detect that, and maybe it's kind of all in my head because I knew that going into it, but you do feel like you can feel that through the wheel.
Nathan Eichinger and the 41 having that little bit of a slip and slide out of turn 5. They're still having fun with the Dan Persing comments in here. Dan Persing thinks incognito mode makes his computer invisible. Oh boy. Dan Persing microwaves fish in the office lunchroom. Now, this is too good. Oh boy.
Go with his red wine.
Having way too much fun in the comments, everybody. But on the backstretch heading into turn 17 there, see the Moto chicane. Which we were not obviously going to use here this weekend. Another one of those FL5 Civics just up the road. Jason Gatos in the 997 Club TR car goes third quick, 58.854. Look how tight things are on Club TR. I mean, there are 8/10ths between those top three. And this isn't even really the very pointy end of the field. This is really 7th through 10th for the most part in this class. 27 entries in Club TR this weekend. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's so good. And what it means is no matter what your overall pace is, maybe you're not up there at the front of the class, but competing for the win, but you've got somebody to race, you've got somebody to compete against, and you've got something to aim for and try and better yourself with, and that makes it fun. It's always more fun when you're battling it out with someone, win or lose, if you've got that kind of edge to the weekend.
Yeah, there's Jason Gatos in that 997 that we were talking about here. I'm nervous to see his picture pulled up because I don't think I have the right picture of Jason Gatos, so don't out me, Greg, behind the scenes here. But yeah, there it is. That's not Jason. But I messed that up at Lime Rock and I had yet to fix it. So he's gonna send me a message later. That's not me. But that car is his, so at least I got 50% of the graphic right, Alex.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And the lap time's right, the number's right. So really, I mean, what's in the picture?
Exactly. So. Coming back around, now it's going to, there we go. Ghost is going to haunt me forever. Chris Nahill back on the course again, still trying to chip away at the street class entry. There's Kevin Horn in the Falcon Club TR FRS. And see him head down into the corner. I think, again, like I talked about, I think his end goal is to run this in Eibach GLTC at some point. Oh man, that thing's struggling on the climb up the hill. I know it well, having done this before. But man, that is an brutal uphill with an FA20.
So one of the things that I've kind of been thinking about here as we've been looking at these cars, and we've looked at the Scion 86, the Toyota 86, the BRZ. Has there ever been another car that is essentially the same car, right? Same chassis, same engine, that has gone by more different names than
So let me list them. So it was originally the Toyota GT86 in Europe,
Yep.
the Scion FRS in North America, and globally the Subaru BRZ. So there's 3 there. Then in 2017 to 2020, it was the Toyota 86 here in North America. And then it became the GR86. Yeah, so it's 5 different names. Am I missing anything? I think that's all of them.
Yeah, the 5.
Because I own one, Adam. That's why do I know this? Because I'm a nerd. This is you nerd about Hondas, I nerd about this. So 5 different names, and yeah, I mean the Toyota alone went by 3.
Yeah.
4. Because it was just the Subaru stayed the same way the whole time.
Yeah.
But
And the Scion.
yeah, and the Scion. Yeah. But my favorite thing about the FRS configuration is it has 3 Scion badges. There is one on the nose, one on the tail, and one on the airbag.
Okay.
Every other logo on the car says Subaru, except for the engine cover, which has the Toyota logo on it. But the engine isn't a Toyota engine.
Sure. Yeah.
So-
No, it's one of those boxer engines, isn't it?
Everyone's saying all Adam all the time. Guess what? We're going to have him here pretty shortly because Alex, I'm going to let you go here for Group B and A because you've got to go do some GRIDLIFE GT. So Alex Moss, thanks so much. We're going to pass on the headset to Mr. Jabay, the Motorsports President, new title of GRIDLIFE. He's shaking his head at me. But Adam Jabay, one of the co-founders of the company we love so much, we've been here so long for. So Adam will trundle on over, and you're not over here yet. Oh boy, we're having way too much fun on a Friday, Adam. I feel very secluded back here in my little hallway, so I feel very loose. But Adam Jabay, welcome to the party.
This is a bit of a hallway back here.
Yeah, it's all right. But we've been watching some track battle here this weekend. We've only been here twice before.
Yes.
We've already seen records fall in 6 of 7 categories. Well, you've talked about the progress. You were just on the Perfect Lap podcast with Mark Kilgore and Mark Yeager the other day, talking about the progress of different categories.
Yeah.
What is causing that forward momentum so much?
I remember, I think I talked about this on that show. I remember back in 2016, 17, when I think it was Brad Yonkers and Matt DeRoos, they were co-driving a supercharged E46, and they broke 39s in street mod. And 39s at Gingerman in street mod is like, it's like slower than 180 horsepower GLTC cars now. Maybe I don't know times, but now it's like 29. It's like a 10-second gap in like 5-10 years. It's so crazy to see the progression that happens when you put a bunch of axe murderers together and they like start chasing each other. You just run. You only run as fast as you have to. Like the old bear chasing you and your friend. You only have to outrun your friend. We got a bear chasing Club TR in a bunch of these classes. You gotta run faster.
Here, let's pull the points up again for Falcon Club TR, and just I want to walk through. You talked about using the term axe murderers. There's a whole bunch of axe murderers in Falcon Club TR. So here's a look at the points for the season. Mario Moroni, 94 points. Looks like he's further ahead than he is, but Peter Granberg, Evan McLaren, a win and a record, wins the whole season.
Sure.
But look at Evan McLaren's with 81, but Jeremy Bailey, 80 points. Dan Feingold's right in the middle. It is so tight after 4, 5, 6 rounds.
Who knows what's going to happen, especially in P2 and P3 for this podium. It could be like 5 of these people. It could be on P2, P3.
Right, and the other thing is Stan Feingold is here with his K-Series 86. Now, he won podium sprint at Midwest Festival. He wasn't the fastest car there most of the weekend.
It can totally upset things. He was struggling with a brand new ECU install that weekend.
Yep.
And now he's struggling with a brand new individual throttle body install. I think there's like 3D printed custom parts and stuff. They're really trying to find every bit of top-end horsepower out of these engines, depending on which engine they choose. I think one of the coolest parts about this class is P5 this year. Jeremy Bailey doing it with a Subaru motor. So super cool.
FA24 out of the newer car. There's Mario Moroni, your championship leader, rolling by us under the screen here. But to bring up the point, you mentioned Stan's 3D printed components. I actually ran into him earlier. We were talking about it. It sounded like basically the threads on the 3D printing stuff wasn't really hanging tough. So the intakes for those ITBs kind of broke off and were banging around in the engine bay, melting everywhere.
That's what you want.
Yeah. Then The transmission drain plug fell out, and it drained his transmission of all his fluid. So he has no idea if anything's hurt.
Yeah, but if what we've seen this year from Stan holds true, he's probably either going to do fine or he'll go home tomorrow. It's one or the other. He's going to do great or he'll be done.
It seems like that's what most of the drivers are kind of up against.
I did talk in the drivers' meeting this morning about how I really, really wanted everybody to drive like it wasn't their Super Bowl, because we know what happens when they try too hard. But overall, I think, especially in time attack, it's been fairly clean. It's a couple off into the wall, but it was very cold this morning. I'm excited to see what happens throughout the weekend.
Adam, I just like you look over here at the timing screen for Club TR.
Yeah.
There are 27 cars in Club TR. We haven't seen all of them yet in this session, but that is just crazy how many cars have ended up there.
When we kind of got I didn't want to add any more classes. This was in 2020, I think. I didn't really want to add any more classes. I felt like it was pretty good, and Falcon really, really wanted like a special class. Chris, the other founder, was like, "What's the hole in what are we missing? What's the hole?" We've hosted this Michigan event, West Michigan Honda Meet, for 20-some years now, and it's like a bunch of track rats. And I remember saying to them, it's like a bunch of track rat cars that have a hole. They don't have a good spot to fit. K swap this, B18 swap that. We were just starting to play with rear-wheel drive Miata stuff, and that didn't really fit anywhere well. And I swapped Miata stuff, and then we wrote the rules on a dreary, most of it on a dreary day. I was on a ladder. Abe was furloughed or something, and we talked to all the people that were once we swirled around, kind of a target for this class. We talked to all the relevant tuners, and got ideas, and distilled it down. And I never thought it would be this. I never thought it would be this cool.
I don't think anybody really realized what it would turn into. Here's Evan McLaren, past champion of this series, of this class, won it by 3 1/1000ths of a second last year for Peter Gramberg, and this year it's going to come down to a podium sprint, which in Club TR, podium sprint has never really finished a season before. Right. So that changes the dynamic a lot.
That hasn't been a final yet.
Well, at Laguna technically it was, but none of the championship winners were there, so it really didn't define the championship.
Determined the season,
But we are set up that way now.
You know so much more about GRIDLIFE than I do now, Kyle.
I'm invested in it. It pays my bills, dude.
It's true. It's true.
So up the hill, there's Evan McLaren clawing his way up in that Acura Integra.
They just rebuilt the trans on this, I believe, yesterday. Was that Evan's car? It was Evan's car, I think.
Yeah. But so he's going up against Peter Gramberg and Mario Moroni, the championship leader. Evan has won a handful of events so far, such that if he wins another one, he will have a perfect season, which is what he did last year also. So 4 wins, 4 track records, 104 points is a perfect season. And
haven't seen somebody progress this quickly in 2 or 3 years, going from back-a-pack to mid-pack to just, they call him the BMF, because he is one. He's a bad man behind the wheel.
Yeah, Peter Gramberg has also had a really successful season. Took a little bit to get going, but once he got going, just racking up a couple of wins here and there. Yeah. And then, of course, Mario Moroni has just been here a lot and has racked up wins by virtue of doing that. And, his struggles were in podium sprint, but go back to Autobahn Country Club, he stole a podium sprint from Peter Gramberg, so maybe the tides are turning there. It's created a little bit of an upset as far as the championship is concerned. I think Peter Gramberg would have felt a lot better had he won that event, but he doesn't have that safety net.
It'd be very close then.
It would be, So lap times coming across the board. Brian Van Oersdahl in the 290, that's that GR Supra. Evan McLaren does a 55.4, not quite the 54s and 3s we were seeing earlier.
That is so fast, though. 53s in 190 horsepower, 210 horsepower car is so crazy.
Yeah, the time he did earlier was a 53.1.
Well, I guess some of the Club TR guys they're cranked a little harder. They're probably in the 240s, 250s, but still, it's not a big, heavy-hitting power machine. No. Close ratios, lightweight, and just conservation of momentum.
Yeah, and speaking of conservation, I think one thing to note is we'll probably see a little bit of tire conservation this weekend. There are some teams and drivers that have multiple sets of tires, but if you have a set of stickers, I'm saving it for podium sprint so long as I can get myself comfortably in that top 5. I don't think we're going to see a ton of Peter Gramberg out here. I don't think we're going to see a ton of Moroni out here once they get themselves qualified in.
Yeah, and especially the 660 does really well on its initial heat cycles. This track, I had a long conversation with the track manager yesterday. This track is, this is roughly 10-year-old asphalt, and it's so smooth, and you wonder why does a 10-year-old track have no cracks or seams, but it's like so aggregate. The aggregate is just coming out through it. There's no cracks or seams or anything because there's 2 feet of concrete underneath this track, which is insane if you know anything about paving.
Yeah.
This track was built to last. Unfortunately, maybe it won't, but that's why it's so sputtery smooth after 10 years still. But yeah, that asphalt, you know, getting 10 years of exposure and constant use is really coming through, and it just whatever that mixture was originally, it is super grainy.
Yeah, and I remember when I drove here last year, just hearing how abrasive it was through the tires. But there's a good look at Evan English working his way around in the Street Mod GR Supra. Note also that Mario Moroni jumped to the top of Club TR in this session with a 155.0. That is his best of the weekend so far by about 2 seconds. Although a 55.0 only puts him. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. It's going to move him up the order in Club TR.
Too many sheets, Kyle. Too many sheets.
I know. It should be it puts him 3rd now. So in Club TR for the weekend.
And a 156.399 for the 850 there.
And McLaren actually just went faster than Moroni again at 54.4.
Back and forth, yeah. That's a big jump, almost a second for McLaren lap to lap.
And yeah, he went faster earlier, but I'm curious about watching these guys head-to-head because McLaren had a much better lap earlier in the day when it was way cooler, but podium sprint, they're going on the track at the same exact time. So now that they got their banker laps in, I'm more interested in what they're doing relative to each other, not what they are relative to their best laps of the weekend.
One of the things that I'm really curious about, the potential of rain on Sunday, and maybe rain tomorrow, probably not, but I wonder that very last session, if it is wet, how well it will be attended by the podium sprint drivers, because if I were them, I'd really want to be out there. But it's going to, if it is wet, it's going to be a completely different animal out there. This place doesn't have a different line per se because it drains so well and it's grainy asphalt. But yeah, I'd want to drive it as much as I could in that first session if it was wet on Sunday.
And I talked to Evan McLaren about that exact thing. He said, I'm going to take every opportunity I can. I also feel like he said I have a little bit of an advantage in the wet with the front wheel drive, so that could play into a factor as well. Here's Eric Peachy in a Dodge Viper. Don't see a ton of these on track, but when you do see them, it's like a little treat.
They always sound so cool. They're so unique. What a unique tone.
Yeah, basically a truck engine under the hood.
Aluminum truck engine. The first car that we met, Luke McGrew of TC and now Street GT, first car we met him in was an ACR Viper. He ran that several years.
Throttling up across the stripe there in the 293. See what he can do at the top of the order. Still a 53.421. It is going to be no pickup that time with the yellow flash on the timing and scoring.
This stream is so incredible. The team behind the scenes here and all the work that you and others have put into the graphics and everything, it's fun to watch. It's really fun to watch.
Yeah, Project Prime behind the scenes here. They've put a lot of work in this year. And just even to understand the complexities and the intricacies of the formats and how the heats and things work.
Yep.
It's just been unbelievable to see. And also, you know, one of the feedback bits we got today was how crisp and clear the footage is. And that's, you know, by virtue of a lot of the planning and the good setup they have with all the internet to get us effectively what is a 4K bit rate at 1080p resolution, so you get that really crisp picture.
Yep.
Brad Smith in the Chevrolet Camaro. Let's talk Street GT for a second. A couple of years ago, 5 different manufacturers in the top 5. This year, it's been Team Chevy at the top of the order. What gives?
Except for at Laguna, it was all BMWs at Laguna, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I mean, obviously, there's a Corvette to win just about every class they're eligible for because they're such a flexible chassis. We've even seen Mustangs and Camaros do quite well. We've had Camaros on the podium in this class, but the Corvette is such a versatile car. I mean, you can make it, you can adapt it to whatever rule set, to whatever tire. It's just such a unique chassis in the modern era, and also strong. They crash well if they do crash, you know. But yeah, the aftermarket has supported it, and we've really seen Corvettes come from, you know, they were like a track day bro car 5-6 years ago, 7-8 years ago, when we were more of like a 4-cylinder time attack, and they've really jumped into time attack in such a heavy way, and the knowledge base behind the setup and the way to drive them and the way to keep them alive on track is just like exploded inside of our paddock. It's fun to learn about these things as the drivers learn about them too. But Jeremy Bailey making a real fast pass there. Where's that, 12, 13?
Yeah, down at 12, yep. And Jeremy Bailey's got that FA24 that you mentioned, the newer generation motor out of the 2nd gen BRZ or GR86. And basically gives you 30 wheel horsepower and a whole bunch of torque to
really
go
good
with.
power band.
Yeah.
Excellent power band. We've seen Andy Smedegaard do quite well in TC with that engine too.
Yeah, and really they've done nothing to these engines. You can't in Club TR in particular.
Yeah,
so
internals are locked. You can do like oil pump mods for longevity, baffles, cam gear mods if you need it, but that's about it.
yeah, and Andy told me his GLTC car, he literally dropped it in, bolted it in, and went. Has the stock oil pan, never even dropped the pan out.
Wow.
So all the concerns with the RTV and all that, he didn't even bother.
Yeah.
But Jeremy Bailey across the stripe there, no pickup that time. Stays at a 58.2. I think we've seen Bailey go quicker than this, a 56.9. So not quite where he was earlier today. But he's another driver that if you see him in the podium sprint, he could shock everybody like he did at CMP earlier in the year.
And was just on the cover of Grassroots Motorsports magazine, actually.
Yeah.
Just last month.
Yeah, super cool to see a driver.
So right now, Jeremy Bailey is sitting on top of the toilet at my house. So,
that's a coveted place.
there you go,
in the Jabay household,
I'll
I'm
have
sure.
to tell him that later.
So I also noticed he's got some new modifications to his front end aero. He's blocked off
Block
some
off
of his air
plates are
ducting.
allowed.
Yep.
Yep. Bumpers, pretty unrestricted. The track rat ethos and mindset went into like, you want to build a better mousetrap, sort of like the TC, GLTC mindset. You see a lot of similarities in the experimentation and like he just wants a little bit more mile per hour, maybe a little better cooling. Just block off those little unused areas. You don't need them, don't use them.
Yeah, especially with the cool ambient temps this weekend. Ooh, big slide there. But with the cool ambient temps, I wouldn't think that you really would be dealing with a whole lot of overheating issues, whether it be brakes or engine, provided that your cooling is already adequate to start with.
Yeah, but I do love a cut bumper on an FRS and BRZ. They look cool. The cut rear bumper.
Yeah.
As a Honda fanboy, that's a big hot boy trick in Honda world. But
Yeah. This is the rear wheel drive. Back what Honda did in the '90s. This is the rear wheel drive equivalent of that in the 2020s.
Yeah, they
now,
really grew on me too, especially the first gens.
Yeah.
The second gen's a very pretty car, but first gens like yours is just. I mean, I like them more and more every year.
I think the chassis is fantastic. I think again, the motor was underpowered. Maybe you could argue the second gen car is not quite as underpowered as the first gen, certainly. But the reliability hasn't been an issue for me. I'm going to knock on wood so hard because I drove here. But
knock on this down. Yeah, this is more plastic up top.
Yeah, but they're great cars, and that's why we see so many of them. Here's Sebastian Fleischer in a Subaru.
Super cool looking car. I was checking this out in the paddock earlier.
Yeah, I love Subaru as a track mod trim with all the aero and the splitter braces and stuff. It looks real race car to me. Very time attack.
Big gussets on the cage too. That's how you know it's a track car. You got to put the big dimple dyed gussets on there. That was one of the things I wanted to do to my car when I built it was big dimple dyed gussets.
Josh Powers, by the way, big pickups for him in track mod. He had a 56.1. Now he's at a 152.963. So huge pickup there. Justin Peachy as well. I think he's had some pretty significant pickups from his best lap times of the weekend. Now in the 153.4 range. Brian Van Oersdahl in the 53s now. I think that's not quite a pickup. He had a 52.5 earlier in the weekend. And then Street GT, one of the smaller categories this weekend. We saw Luke McGrew out there. Luke McGrew was in the hospital last night.
He was. He's not feeling well.
No.
He thinks he had food poisoning.
Yeah. But first thing this morning, he was out there and smashed the track record.
Terrible yesterday when I saw him at like 10:30 a.m. So he had a long day yesterday. Bad Thursday for Luke McGrew.
Yeah. But went out and broke the track record this morning in Street GT.
Very consistent driver. And he's one of the standouts in the past in Touring Cup, and no surprise to see him like on the top of the box often in Street GT.
Yeah, coming into a weekend where we're talking a lot about the IBOC GLTC Championship, go back a year, and it was expected that Luke McGrew would probably win the championship, but he, out of nowhere, just sold his race car.
Right, sold it to Tony Marchout.
Yeah, right before this event, and effectively handed Matan Rosenberg the championship. But this year, Matan, he's on the top step, but Eric Catil is right there. So we got that coming up
this
too.
year. A really good chase to watch. Almost nervous about it. Like I'm nervous about it, but GLTC, IBOC GLTC is kind of my baby.
Yeah.
I kicked it into the door of GRIDLIFE, and then now you got to see it into it's like putting it off to prom every year at the end of the season. But
you've got Eric Catil chasing a Corvette for a championship. We have seen this before.
Yes, it's happened before. But yeah, Luke McGrew, an interesting one. I think it's him right here, right?
Yes.
He just kind of gets like he's more of a builder, and he likes to tinker with a new thing. And he said, man, nobody ever gives you money for a race car when they offer it. Sometimes you got to say yeah. So.
Fair point. My mistake there, by the way. It wasn't Justin Peachy. That was the 293 of Eric Peachy.
Too
Justin
many Peachys. Are they related?
I don't know. I
should ask.
I have not been down there to check. I will ask about it. Now, I do know that there is a new engine in a 5.3 liter.
Yeah, turbocharged. He's been struggling a little bit with it, but he's been finding reliability, and I think he just beat his personal best in the first session here with it, even with some issues. So it's definitely working.
Doesn't have the high revving kind of neat.
His car did sound cool last year, didn't it?
Cool, yeah.
I mean, it had that real race car flat plane cranky sound.
Yeah.
So
it was neat. Green flag is out here for Group A, and this is going to get fun here as we watch the unlimited track mod, street mod, and street GT cars go on track. There is also, is that a Ligier LMP3?
Yeah, it is, with a Nissan drivetrain.
Yeah, so there was another, the Perfect Lap podcast guys have had a lot of interesting guests on as of late. I listened to a lot of the Grid Life tangent podcasts, and they had one of the drivers from GTA that has an LMP3 that they've modified, and his whole point was, this stuff is like endurance racing stuff. It's built to last. Right. You have to rebuild it every once in a while, but it's very strong, and it's a great aero platform. Yep. So, maybe it doesn't have a gazillion trillion horsepower, but it's doing a lot more with 450 than most cars can do with 1,000.
Jimmy Rock, our top of the board's driver at the moment in the EK Civic. This car not that powerful, 500 some horsepower, a coif sequential right now, really well developed aero for how simple it is realistically, but no ABS, no traction control. It was unbelievable how fast he went at Autobahn. I'm really excited to see if he gets in the 39s.
Here's Chris Boersma in the track mod Honda Civic.
One of our longest term competing cars. I think it's been with us for 9 years.
I believe that. He drove his wife to prom in that car too.
Yeah, he's had that car forever. The first time we met Chris Boersma was at the Gingerman Tech Shed, and he was driving through it with the giant wing, and his dad was standing next to the garage door, not a wide garage door, and the wing rolled his dad into the building and bruised a bunch of ribs, and he almost cut his dad in half the first moment we met him. So,
oh boy,
glad his dad's always here with Chris, and glad his dad is here. Good to talk to him every time. He's got a Viper swapped truck, actually, his dad, with suicide doors. Super interesting guy.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
All right, there's a whole lot of fast cars, including Alan Patton out on track in that number 29 Toyota GR Supra. He's obliterated the street mod record this morning, not even close.
It's like lap one, too, wasn't it?
Lap one by 6 seconds. But here we go, Jimmy Rout, green flag, and off into turn one here in this Honda Civic, and he defeated a Lamborghini Super Trofeo at Autobahn Country Club in Unlimited, and I think he's not going to have quite that much competition this weekend.
We were glad that we were doing Podium Sprint at Autobahn because it got him to stay. I don't know if he would have stayed otherwise because he probably would have gone home Saturday night, but man, he went fast on Sunday morning.
He really did, and he looks gripped up right now. He's on, I believe, a Michelin slick, right?
He was on A7's first session out. I'm not positive which one he's got right now, but he's got Michelin's, brand new A7s, and something else. I forget something else. He texted me he was on A7's first session.
Wasn't he using the AO52 at one point?
He's tried everything with this car. He broke the Autobahn record on Michelin's. He has brand new Michelin's. He might be on them now. But he was on A7's when he ran the 40 this morning. Yeah. Or late morning, whatever it was.
140.1 is a ridiculous lap time around here.
That's his PB fast. Here also. He's been here with SCCA TT Nats several times and loves this track. That's definitely his PB.
How can you not? Look at that sight over the turn 14 crest, just gorgeous. But down the hill here, Jim Rauch in the 921. We'll see what he can do. Throttling up here. This is such a fast sequence.
A little spark there from the titanium rub puck on the splitter.
And then this little kick to the right, you have to immediately be on the brakes. No ABS in this car.
Nope, no ABS. I don't believe it has ABS.
Wow.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he did put it in, but I know it didn't at one point.
Here he comes. So 140.118 would reset the record for Jim Rauch, and across the stripe for the 921, and it is a 140.935, so not quicker, but still in the same second. Yeah.
There was a lot of people talking about how fastest lap of the entire event is going to be first thing this morning. I don't know if I agree with that, but every car on this track is putting rubber in a different spot.
Dewey DeWitt just went flying, a 145.395, and for Dewey, that's a pickup by 2+ seconds.
Yeah, he was 47s this morning. Yeah.
Wow, that's really fast. Now, it's not quite enough to catch Alan Patton just yet, but if they're taking swings at it and turning the boost up, I mean, end of the season, already won the championship. You got the whole offseason to rebuild it. Turn it up.
Boogeyman going real fast this year has been one of the fun stories to watch, and the reliability they've gotten out of this car just with like the year after year after year of development and engine configuration changes. This is a D-stroked 2.5 liter, so he revs it. I've heard he's revved it to 10,000 before. Just a really, really cool car. The IAG motor pulling it real fast through this track.
Yeah, Zach Joe across the line in the Zestec Lamborghini. Igor Kesselov just gets defeated by Andrew Brownfield there. Then there's Ryan Sari in that LMP3. Again, this is a super unlimited car. This class is designed for cars that are not don't have the silhouette of a road-going vehicle.
Right, and no chassis ever from a road-going vehicle.
Yeah.
So, in unlimited, you can make silhouette changes, but you do have to have 25% of a factory body or chassis. Yeah, kind of the bleeding edge of unlimited is like a Mike DeSold car, which actually he had to rebuild the car with more factory unibody to qualify for our series. So.
Yeah, and it's cool that he did that and continues to compete at a very high
Photo
level.
documentation and approval via email while the car was in a million pieces.
Wow.
So he has ran Super Unlimited with us in the past, like 2016, 17 at Road Atlanta, but missing Mike DeSold this weekend. It was fun to see him a few weeks ago at Laguna Seca.
Hear a lot of engines rumbling by the start-finish line here, but Rauk on top of Unlimited for now. Brownfield in track mod. Dewey DeWitt to the pointy end of street mod. Now I don't see. Looks like Alan Patton bailed out on his fast lap.
He was out there, but he did not complete a flying lap via timing.
Yeah, came right back to pit lane, so no changes or shifts or shuffles there. Luke McGrew in the 717. I don't remember what he had run earlier. It was a 47.9, so he's not quite back to what he was running earlier. And there's Justin Peachy to 150.6. And that is not quite quicker than he had earlier in the day. There's Zach Joe in the Zestec Lamborghini. Makes great V10 sounds.
Does. Chasing Chris Boersma up towards the finish line right now.
And right behind Andrew Brownfield, just in that slide coming out of turn 17. Just looking really dialed. Dayton Delahousse in the MX-5 running a 150.37. That thing's crazy.
Pretty impressive in that car. It's so sedated looking in the paddock, that MX-5 ND. It's an ND, isn't it? Not NC?
It is an ND, yeah.
But a dark maroon color. I mean, all the Miatas look the same to me. I'm a Honda guy. But their splitter this weekend is their first foam 3D printed or 3D cut foam, and they laid their own carbon, and they're working on making their own components down there at the shop there, him and the fam. So
that's cool. There's Andrew Brownfield, who I think Alex Moss is saying he's a regular SCCA track night driver.
Yeah, I believe he's a Toyota engineer by day. So this car, I think it's this car, he's competed at One Lap of America a lot too. Or he's driven the other one. They've got a white one, I believe, too. White or gray. But he's had the other one as a Larry Chen camera car at Midwest Festival.
And we've seen Andrew before in track battle as well.
Yep.
I just don't recall seeing this blue car, so it might be.
Yeah, there was a gray or white one, I forget. But
story for Luca Barberis. He was actually up here a little while ago, and I asked him, I saw you out there in the Evo. Are you planning on running both the cars? He said, well, no, we had a fuel pump issue, and they had to send a crew member to go get a fuel pump.
And here he is.
And here he is. He's back on track, but he drove the Evo in the meantime, so I guess it's sort of nice to have a backup plan.
Yeah, I'm glad that they brought both cars, I guess.
Don't waste your time. I guess not, right?
The Evo, not really a street mod car, but you get some, not really a, wait.
He was running it in street. This is street mod.
Street versus street mod.
Yeah.
Street mod versus track mod.
Right.
Too many classes, too many people, too many years.
Yeah, and he's still got the blue on the timing and scoring, so we'll have to get that sorted back out.
But he's I believe, our previous street class champion for 2024.
You got it, yeah. That was a great season for him last year. I think another one of the drivers that I believe that was in the Perfect Score Club last year.
Yeah. And also, I think his car was right next to our booth at PRI. Just in a different company's booth.
Yeah.
So got his trophy at PRI, and his car was right there.
Oh, across the stripe there for Luca Barberis, and actually because that car's showing up in street, I don't think it's going to show up where it should, but it didn't actually trip the timing and scoring at all that time.
Hopefully they didn't forget to change the transponder.
They might have. We'll see.
He did say something about it.
Yeah, he did come up here to talk to somebody. So
we sent him into timing and scoring to answer his questions.
There's Justin Peachy again with. I mean, it looks like they're in the middle of performing open heart surgery through the hood.
Sans body work. But
You can see the picture I have. Everything fits neatly under the hood of that car.
Not quite so much anymore.
No.
Yeah, this car had a spontaneous failure at Road America and lit itself on fire, and he's been playing with it ever since. So, but very fast car.
Super fast.
And a driver that drives all different series. I mean, he drives everywhere, and this car puts in work. I don't know what else to say other than it really puts in work. Like every weekend, he's somewhere.
He's run even like autocrosses and things with it,
Yeah,
hasn't he?
the King of the Mountain Autocross, the UMI battle there. Very fun event to watch if you ever happen upon it on YouTube. But yeah, wild looking car with that exhaust coming out the hood there.
And across the stripe, very different engine note than we're used to from most of the season. And great sound though. Looks like he's going on a flyer again. He was setting up for it this time. And here's Chris Smith. Chris Smith went very fast earlier today in track mod. Yep. And currently sits second behind Justin Peachy.
He's on the podium a lot. LS3, 8HP, really cool build. Very muscle car sound. It's wild to see such a European shape with the noises it makes.
So I was sent a message earlier that when his rain light is on, he's on a cool down lap.
It's a good idea.
Which is first of all, fantastic communication for the drivers on track, and also fantastic communication for us, because I know right now he's on a cool down, but he might be setting up for a quick lap here. He's only 2/10 off his best of the weekend at the moment, so he might try to get one more in before the end of the session.
Yeah, I think maybe it depends on what he's punched on the button. Maybe he forgot because it's time to go, because he does not look like he's on a cool down right now, but I saw it flashing.
Yeah, so throw it into turn 17 and fire it up again. And it's pretty close between himself and Peachy right now. It's about 9/10 of a second, which that's in the margin of error in a podium sprint when everything's on the line.
For sure. All you got to do is get in.
And Andreas Bertulis in Unlimited sits third in the championship standings.
Chris Smith up to a 49.177.
That is an improvement, brings him within 3/10 of Justin Peachy.
Bertulis in the Lexus with a 53.124 so far, and another car that just gets driven. It's not a wild build, really cool aero, and real race car, but real race car built, but it's not wild drivetrain. It's very reliable car.
Yeah, we've seen it do lap after lap after lap. I mean, go back to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, where it was raining all weekend. I think there was one car that did all the laps, and it was this car.
Yeah, very reliable car. Just puts fresh tires on it and beats the snot out of it. Very fun car to see, because you don't have to worry about Andreas. He's very reliable. He drives. He doesn't crash. The car doesn't blow up. It's nice to have a bunch of that in Unlimited.
Yes.
And often on the podium, just out of attrition too.
Yeah. So. And 73 points on the season, 3 points ahead of Jeremy Lauder, who I thought was registered to drive this weekend, but I have yet to see him. His season so far has been a 4th, 7th, 2nd, 3rd, and 6th. So still P2 is the best he's done. But get himself in a podium sprint. You never know what can happen.
Especially in inclement weather.
And because he had a lot of rain experience just this year alone. He's been on track, like I said, at Road Atlanta so much.
And he just loves to drive. It's fun to see drivers that aren't so ultra competitive. They're out there in a great built, safe car, and they're having a good time. They love to drive.
So Bertulis is going to head back around. We still have the green flag out, so there still is some opportunity to go quicker. And there is plenty more coming your way here on the Grid Life live stream this afternoon. The first time we're going to see our wheel-to-wheel series on track is next, with Grid Life GT qualifying in about 7 minutes. So then, Adam, do you have to go for Rush, I presume?
No.
Okay.
John can run Rush. I'll deal with it afterwards.
Then I'll have you for the rest of the day, which I'm very stoked about.
Get to talk and talk.
Yeah.
I might need to jump out and grab a sparkling water.
Oh, you can do that. I will grant you that. No problem.
Borsma up into our graphics here with a 50.958.
It's a nice strong run for Borsma.
He's a driver that with a new track he works into it slowly, but he always finds it, and it'd be fun to see what he comes up with through the next couple days. His first time here.
And this car's seen a lot of different trims over the years, right? And track mod as a category has changed quite a bit, and he's sort of followed this category along with the changes he's made.
Yeah, and some of this car is built like a full race car. You know, it's fully gutted and everything, but it does fit one of the two options in Track Modern. Basically, Track Modern is aimed at low displacement wild time attack cars, such as his, or supercars, super/hyper-ish cars, and you can kind of pick one or the other. And obviously, he's chosen the low displacement wild time attack build. But this car also, he's been scaling the aero back. It had such a wild aero profile years ago, and they couldn't balance the car. He always fought something or the other, and it's gone much more towards like a Club TR style aero build, like simpler, more refined, and yeah, so he can put laps in, drive it.
Well, I think that the challenge with aerodynamics, and we see this, in the pro motorsport level, and even with this LMP3 that's here this weekend, when you make the aero very complex and a large component of the vehicle's overall grip, all of a sudden suspension geometry gets very important.
Right.
Keeping the car at the right ride height. You have to all of a sudden start to consider all these balance changes, and just that requires engineers and a whole team to make sure that the car's set up right to use it.
When you have like 3D front wings as splitters, and you see them, every track is different, and you can't bottom that out, or else your aero goes away and you start to porpoise, or you really you lose downforce immediately if the air can't flow under it and over it. So, kind of, we're seeing people really make the cars more drivable in the last few years in track mod, but they're not going slower.
No, not going slower at all. Chris Smith pits in. And on track there, that is Dallas Reed in the number 22 C8 Corvette, P4 and Unlimited right now.
Is that the E-Ray car?
I believe the black one is. I think the orange one is his.
Yes, yeah. He's got a couple of C8s that he's driven with us.
It's always a guess to see which one he's going to bring out.
Is that what it's called, an E-Ray?
I think so.
Yeah, with the electric front motors?
Yeah. But it's got, a little more weight to the front, and he runs a very interesting tire stagger setup on this. Very high ride height in the front as well.
It's more of a street car. The first time he competed with us, he had just bought it and he drove it to Autobahn and put stickers on it, like it was stock out of the box. He's really grown fond of the C8s. Do you remember his old builds? He had a bunch of wild RX-8s.
Yeah.
The craziest LS swap RX-8. Turbos were in multiple configurations, but they were never under the hood. It was always somewhere.
It's like a hamster-driven Rube Goldberg machine tacked on the hood of the car. They were wild.
Yeah, it's. I think he's one of those other drivers that's enjoying not working on the car so much. And yeah, seat time is king. You go faster and faster the more you drive.
I think that's one of the benefits of modern automotive technology. You get to the high levels of Porsche and Ford and Chevrolet, and all of a sudden you get all this performance and the reliability of being engineered to run 100,000 miles.
Yeah.
Right.
And be able to do it on track, do that to run on track in almost stock configuration. You make a few alignment changes, maybe change some spring rates, but you're not redesigning the entire car.
Right. Yeah, honestly, they put so much effort and engineering into these cars. Like right now, Ford and Chevrolet and Porsche are battling for superiority around the Nordschleife.
Yeah.
And so, things like what's the crazy new ZR1 Zora thing? ZR1X.
Yes, X.
That car and the Ford Mustang GTD and the Porsche GT2 RS, they're engineering these cars to have such a crazy high level of performance that you almost ruin it when you change anything.
Right. You can't do a whole lot better than hundreds of thousands of hours of factory testing.
So checkered flag is out here for the track battle sessions. It looks like Dallas Reed will be one of the last drivers out there. So we'll go through, look at our results here before we wrap up the track battle session to move on to qualifying for our wheel-to-wheel series. And we'll start things off by looking at the Falcon Club SC results here in just a moment's time once we get Dallas down here at 5. There it is. Mike Jansen, these are the points. We'll pull up the results here in just a moment for...
Mike is on a tear this year in that EG Civic.
Greg, this is the points. Oh, there you go. Thanks. So Dallas Reed coming around. We'll have a look. There's the results we're looking for. And we didn't see we did see Sam Dooling out there, but no Mike Jansen. He's set up for podium sprint, I think. David Best, top of session at number 3.
Actually, Mike is not on property right now. He's in a wedding tonight.
That's right, yes.
He's in one of our perennial Club SC drivers, Lennon. Lennon Radcliffe, I believe, is getting married tonight.
All right. Let's have a quick look at Falcon Club Club TR now. We'll work our way.
Tomorrow. Tonight's the rehearsal.
Yes. Here's Club TR. Logan Geyer at the top. Actually, that's not quite right. So Mario Moroni at the top of 154, 354. Evan McLaren, Kevin Vu, Stan Feingold drew top 5. In street class, though, looks like it was at the top of the order there in street. Joshua Halka with a 155, 681, his best of the weekend. Eddie Siegel in 4th, Bucky Lassick up in 5th place. Move on to Street GT, where I think it was Luke McGrew once again, dominant performance there in this session. Ryan Matthews, Stephen Chang in Street Mod. Top of the board was Dewey DeWitt resetting the all-wheel drive track record. He has just been unbelievable this weekend so far, but still chasing Alan Patton in this class this weekend. In track mod, a couple of shifts and shuffles here. Andrew Brownfield, Chris Smith, Justin Peachy, your top 3 with Borsma and Igor Keselov. The rest your top 5. And then an unlimited at the very top of the order, Jim Rauch closing in on breaking his record again. That'll do it for the GridLife track battle results here for Q3. Let's have a look at the highlights from this session before we step away and move on to our wheel-to-wheel qualifying here this afternoon. And it all started with Group D earlier on in the session, and Falcon Club SC for the most part. Adam, that's a class that you put a lot of effort into, and they've been putting on a good show so far this weekend. Yeah, always the Falcon classes are fun to watch, both of them. Yeah, Logan Geyer was up in the mix there in Falcon Club TR as well, and the rest of the field making their way around. Foster Johnson hucking that S2000 around the course, looking really solid. Joshua Halka in the 777 Subaru. Coming off a win at Laguna. Yeah, really strong run out there. And the 41 Subaru. Look at Foster Johnson getting after the curbs on the downhill run here at Pittsburgh International Race Complex. Then it was the next group, mostly Falcon Club TR in Group B. And once again, Evan McLaren, Peter Granberg, and Mario Moroni showing some superiority. A little bit of show from Eric Peachy in the Viper. Brian Van Oersdahl in straight modified, charging his way up the hill. And great performance by these drivers in B, but in Group A, we saw a lot of cars on track there. And the Zestec Lamborghini running some personal bests with that V10 under the rear hood, the Ligier LMP3 car of Ryan Sari. And then Jim Rauch just doing such a phenomenal job. GridLife Track Battle Q3 for Pit Race is complete. Chris Smith also PB'd there. And that'll do it for GridLife Track Battle Qualifying 3 here from Pittsburgh International Race Complex.
Born on the track, bred on the mountains, raised on the podium, ready for anything and everything. Learn more about our entire line at falcontire.com.
There's a moment behind the wheel of what I've built, where power overrides gravity, and I hit that zero moment. Zero doubts, zero fear, zero competition. No rule or mold I can't break. And limits? Absolutely zero. And there's a non-zero sugar to get me there.
Pittsburgh International Race Complex. It is the end of an era for this facility. It's the end of the season for the GridLife GT Series. Welcome back to Pittsburgh International Race Complex and the GridLife live stream. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Adam Jabay, and we're about ready to be on track for GridLife GT qualifying here in Wampum, Pennsylvania. Adam, welcome aboard. Really stoked to be here and see the tail end of the season of the inaugural season for our new GridLife GT class, taking all that we learned from Eibach GLTC and turning everything up a notch.
Yep, up to roughly 8.9 to 1 power to weight ratio, depending on your aero choice, and yeah, just attracting a slightly different enthusiast. Somebody that doesn't want to detune, they want to run what they got. So
throttling up here to start our flying laps. In the top seed here for qualifying, this is AJ Hartman. We could talk about our championship that is coming to an end here this weekend, and AJ Hartman is one of the drivers that we expect to be in contention.
Yeah, definitely going to be one to watch. A lot of aero. He builds this stuff himself. It's like an all-carbon Mustang with a 3.5 EcoBoost, if I recall.
Yeah, twin-turbo 3.5 EcoBoost. And coming into this weekend, there was a conversation in our marketing meeting about how do we talk about the Hans Horpedal versus AJ Hartman battle. And all I could think about was is this V6 engine and how similar this thing sounds to the GT Le Mans Ford GT.
Yeah, it does actually.
And so there's a little bit of like the Corvette versus Ford, you know, kind of GT Le Mans era stuff going on here. But also AJ Hartman does all of his own aerodynamics, and I think it's really cool to see this car kind of take the aero rules to their limit here.
It was very exciting to see a car that I have, you know, I've watched this off and on, kind of followed him on social media. Exciting to see a car like that. It was cool to see his excitement when the class was announced. And David Bamforth there in the Porsche, ran in track mod with us for years, and yeah, it was a club sport car, ready to race, and he was also excited when this class was announced. Fun to see him out there.
Yeah, we've seen him plenty this season in that Porsche Cayman, a little bit of diversity represented across the field here. So the other car that is out on track that we didn't see on the entry list until very late is the number 606. Now, if you recall, you got the Eagle Eyes back on the entry list for Midwest Festival. That is a Toyota GR Supra GT4 that was driven by Alan Patton. It's owned by Thunder Bunny Racing, and Christian Aranja will be behind the wheel of that car.
Yeah, he's ran a lot of time attack with us, and he ran TC at Atlanta. Believe blew the engine in Atlanta, so it is now here in Alan's Supra. And Gary Wimble jumping up from GRIDLIFE Touring Cup into GT.
Yeah, Gary Wimble giving it a go, and I think that car actually had run at Midwest Festival, but had
Gary
some
didn't drive it. Luke drove it. Luke McGrew drove it at Midwest Festival actually, and had a diff issue, and then Gary kept it in TC because he wanted to finish the weekend. So.
There's Christian Aranja in that number 606. That car won 3 of 4 races that it was entered in, and Christian's no slouch as a race car driver either. It ran with us in IBOC GLTC.
And a lot of I forget what other, was it Club TR he ran years ago? He's run a lot of time attack with us as well.
Yeah, he's run a little bit of everything the last couple of rounds.
They kind of blur together after a while. Well, I mean, years past, Christian Aranja has ran a bunch of time attack with us.
Okay.
Probably one of the more stock resembling GT4 cars. It's not that wild versus a factory Supra compared to, you know, some other cars are so much different aero-wise. It looks very stock Supra-like. Varying levels of tune.
Yeah, it should be okay.
Waiting to see what the 606 gets out of his first flyer here. This class also is unique versus Touring Cup, where you take weight for aero. You actually take negative weight for no aero in this class, so we went kind of an inverse. Oh, and Christian has pitted in, threw the flashers on, and he's in.
Interesting. So we'll see what he's got here.
Here's Eric Jensen, another jump up from TC, the 50.672. Everybody right now is chasing the 49.255 of Christian. He did make one flyer lap before we got timing and scoring up.
Yeah, so ran a lap, and then we'll see what Chris DeLucia can do. Now, the story behind Chris DeLucia, I know we've got Eric Jensen on screen, but Chris DeLucia blew up his motor in his M3 all the way out in WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And friend Jeff Zazoulis offered up a car for him to rent, and Chris turned it down and said, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
And a couple days ago, I was like, you know what, maybe I'll take you up on that offer. And Zazoulis gave him his M3 and built another car.
Yeah, he had an HPD car that was caged and said, well, I guess I'll just cut the bodywork on it, throw my tires on it, and I'll come run it also. So both these BMWs out here are Jeff's cars, and cool to see Chris get back out and have a swing at getting on the top or second or third box of the podium for the season, too.
Yeah, there's Eric Jensen in the 184. I got a chance to chat with him briefly right before practice number 2, and he was so excited to run this car in this trim, about 340 horsepower. So I think he's just stoked to get a little more speed out of this.
I talked with him yesterday, and while I was most excited to see the white wheels on it, because I think it looks awesome, he said he's had this car since before he ran TC, but he's never ran it above Touring Cup power. This is the first time he's driven it at over 300 horsepower.
Wow. So here's Jeff Zazoulis in that number 429, the car that he said was a very nice, pretty HPDE car a little while ago.
I mean, it just doesn't have all the bodywork it used to have. But threw the big tires on it, and he's trying to figure out how to go fast with it.
Yeah, Zazoulis P10 at the moment. And we also have our data provider this year with the announcement early on heading into Midwest Festival about Fire Labs, which is the official data provider for GRIDLIFE GT. A lot of these cars, most most of them are running the Fire Link inside the car. Now, what the Fire Link does, it effectively allows you to use fire laps in real time, such that when you get out of the car at the end of the session, your data is already uploaded for you, and there's an AI coach that will basically say, hey, you can gain a bunch of time in these places, and this is how you can achieve that by breaking one marker later, and so on and so forth. We have this great integration with Fire Laps and the Fire Links on board the car to get data basically in real time, and we can have a look. I think one of the interesting data points with these GT cars, Adam, is how fast they're going. So we have a speed trap set up entering turn 16.
Curious to see the difference.
And here's your look, Hans Horpedal, lap 1 of qualifying, 134 miles an hour. But look at Chris DeLucia right there in the mix, Adam Ulrich. But look how tight the speeds are, less than a mile-an-hour difference between the top 4.
Eric Jensen, though, in P3 right now, isn't even in that top 5. So he's really putting work in with his new bigger aero, which he's also never ran. He had to do a whole bunch of setup changes. Said he was bottoming out that 6-inch splitter a whole lot versus the 3-inch allowed splitter in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup.
Yeah. And then the other thing is we can also have a look at things like G-forces too. So braking force is a big one. You see AJ Hartman, he's the slowest of the drivers based on the top speed on that first lap. But look at the braking force, about 1.35 G. But look at Chris DeLucia again, 1.5 G on that opening lap. And
Jeff got that car dialed.
It's so good.
That's cool.
So a great look at the Fire Laps, Fire Link information. We'll have a couple more looks throughout the session here. But Christian Aranja, is it a one and done for him here? Does he feel that confident in that 606?
He did pull in. It looked like there was a problem, but maybe he just thought, well, that's enough. I don't want to beat this car up. I don't want to use up my tires. It's probably enough to get him close to the front row, even if we have a really good last 10 minutes for the rest of the cars.
Yeah, the other thing is where's AJ Hartman? I mean, P5 at the moment comes in. I would have thought that based on the entry list, maybe Sans the 606, he would have been the car to beat, but we don't see him out on track, and Hans Horpedal down in 7th. So those are the 2 championship battlers. But Chris DeLucia's not out of it, especially because he's here now in a very competitive car. DeLucia could still mathematically win. It would just take kind of a lot for Hans and Hartman not to get the points they would need to beat.
Christian putting on a really good lap, but P2 through 5. I mean, we're less than 0.4 of a second there. So we've got, it could be anybody's front row here for the rest of this qualifying. We'll have to see.
Yeah, so a couple laps later, like on lap 3, I'm curious as far as like sector times, what we're seeing. And we've got that on the Fire Link as well. So maybe we'll see lap 3 sector times in a moment, and we'll get a chance to kind of poke around and see which driver's fast where. Alex Moss is also on track, his first time here in the 150 car. He's never been here before, at least as a driver. So
that car transitioning out of enduro use, and it's it's still going to do some of that, but it has now got to a setup where it can stay cool with the turbocharger on it. So did a V-mount setup. The ASM boys changed that car around quite a bit, and I talked to him in practice grid, and he said it is finally staying cool. He was struggling at Autobahn with that car.
There's a look at those sector times I was referencing. Have a look at Adam Ulrich, actually. Quickest in sector 1 and 3 on that particular lap, and Hans Horpedal up in sector 2 was actually the quickest. And when you think about sector 2, that is a big dig out of the turn 5 area. So I think that's where Hans and Adam Ulrich are probably gaining some time with those big V8 engines.
The dig, it feels very real in my car with a little 1.5 liter. It is a dig and a half.
Yeah. You can actually see the lights on the dashboard for Zazoulis. Like he's got a timer in there that gives him predictive laps. There's David Bamforth in the 404.
Such a pretty car. It's also a terrible car to put on the dyno because it's so low. It's so low. The dyno guys hate it when David pulls up.
Yeah, and he's right now P5, so I think we take top 3 typically after a session like this. So.
Yep, top 3, top 5. Depends on what race directors desire for, typically it would just be weights, maybe a dyno.
But down and around, AJ Hartman up to 2nd place, kind of picking him away. Look at how tight things are from 2nd back to 5th. That's crazy. 150.4 to 150.9, covered by 4 cars.
Yeah, very cool to see. Makes me very happy.
And so, you know, AJ Hartman's key to success, we talked about the aerodynamics here. This is a racetrack, I think the middle sector in particular is going to be really good for the aero. So we'll have a look at the Fire Laps data to show cornering force as well. We've got lateral Gs, and probably from one of the more recent laps, and we'll get a look at that here in a moment.
Very fun to watch him versus Houghton at Lime Rock. where when he was stuck behind Houghton, he couldn't run faster, but when he was out by himself, he could out-qualify Houghton, which was very fun to see the aero difference in how it was working versus when he's in the slipstream of another car. Couldn't quite take advantage of how his car was built.
Yeah, that was really by virtue of just having clean air on the aerodynamics,
exactly.
right? Oh, Bamforth, big slide coming down through turn 4.
That's how I drive it. It's not the
Sideways?
ideal line. Almost crashed.
Yeah, it's a scary turn, man.
This track, I've driven this place twice during our Super Grid, and then one session yesterday, one today, and I'm still lost. I'm a little bit lost at this place. I don't pick up on a track with this many turns very fast, especially when my brain is somewhere else. But what a fun track. Even to flail around in mediocrity like I did at the back of GT Practice 2. What a fun track. Just a really good time.
Yeah, and A.J. Hartman looks like he's sort of backed it down a little bit here. But again, this car, it's designed to qualify well. And I think the key here is it going to be Hartman versus Aranja this weekend? We don't have James Houghton, who was able to take the fight to that Toyota GR Supra. But again, we'll see what he's got. Some
wild battles at Midwest Festival between that TCR Civic and the Supra with Alan Patton steering. But we had great battles throughout the entire rest of the GT field and have probably for pretty much every round this year. There's always something to watch.
And this is what I love much about the Fire Laps information here, because this is showing us in real time the aerodynamic performance of that car. We know that car has the most aero of any car in the field, but lap 3 and lap 4, A.J. Hartman 1.6 to 1.7 G's, more than everybody else. This is so neat for us to see, and that's why we love working with Fire Laps, giving us real-time data insights here. What a cool story that tells.
That's awesome. That is so cool. We actually were one of the first to see the beta test of the Firelink 3 years ago at Laguna Seca. We've been talking with Fire Laps for so long about this, and happy to see this come to fruition. And the production unit is very robust. They built a lot of it's built right here in the USA too.
Yeah, I think there's even more coming, from what I understand as well. So
a lot of evolution, a lot of changes. Very cool service.
Yeah, super cool. So Christian Aranja, it's actually gotten pretty quiet out there, and I have to wonder, Adam, if a lot of this is related to tire wear. People don't want to use up their tires
I
to
think
qualify.
Conservation of hardware here is definitely, it's top of people's minds. The topic last year post pit race was, wow, did that place eat my tires up? Did not expect that. And yeah, this is grassroots racing, amateur budgets overall, and you can't buy too many tires when you're towing across the entire world. A lot of these drivers were actually at Laguna with us just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Chris DeLucia out there. Was David Bamforth out there? I thought he was supposed to be.
Hans Horpedahl towed himself out there in an ancient Ford. That was cool, seeing him right there. And another story with him, changed the ECU, Tucker Flag is out there, changed the ECU at Lime Rock, actually, and ended up finishing a race. So.
Wow. Well, that's
full rewire in the paddock, which is insane. So I've been dialing that car in since.
All right, well, let's have a look at the results here for our GridLife GT qualifying, and I think there's some interesting storylines to take away from this, notably, with the exception of maybe Aranja at the pointy end, how tight things are. So we'll have a look at the results, we'll show you some highlights, and then we'll move on. But there's a look. Christian Aranja at the top of the order, 149.255, but A.J. Hartman, second place in that championship battle with Hans Horpedahl, who only managed a 7th. So work to do for Hans, but DeLucia, Jensen, Bamforth, the rest of your top 5.
Getting some points there in the top 1, 2, and 3. So we will. Well, it's also cool to see some people jumping into this class just recently. Some perennial IBAC Touring Cup drivers: Eric Jensen, Adam Ulrich, Gary Wimble, Alex Moss has been in a lot of GLTC. So fun to see drivers playing in different classes.
Let's have a look at the highlights here from GridLife GT qualifying. And early on, it was Chris DeLucia, A.J. Hartman, and Jeff Zazoulis that were out on track. But Hartman took a couple laps to get warmed up. It was lap 4 that was as fast as Alex Moss, trying to figure out his way around here. Again, just his first laps earlier today, struggling a little bit. Eric Jensen having a blast with this higher horsepower
those white wheels
configuration.
look cool on that car.
They look fantastic. And there's Hans Horpedahl, David Bamforth, and others ripping around here in GridLife GT. Jeff Zazoulis, and there's DeLucia again, that borrowed car going for the championship title in that 62.
That's real fast in a car that's not yours, too. And it's a very simple build versus the crazy package that Hartman has. So.
David Bamforth comes across the line, but Hans Horpedahl didn't quite get to provisional pole. It will be Christian Aranja on pole for GridLife GT tomorrow.
Thousands of data points affect milliseconds on the track. You've got the data, but do you know how to use it? FireLapse is the driver development platform that makes data simple and actionable. And with FireLink, your sessions upload automatically and coaching insights show up instantly. Visualize clearly, share easily, improve every time you drive. Powered by machine learning and real driver data, FireLapse helps you train with purpose and race with confidence.
These are my race treads for when the road ends.
These are my race treads for shredding the slopes.
These are my race treads for setting the hook.
Racetreads.com. Tires for every adventure.
Welcome back to Pittsburgh International Race Complex and the season finale for the GRIDLIFE competition season and IBOC GLTC. This is GRIDLIFE Pit Race, and this is the IBOC GRIDLIFE Touring Cup Series Championship. This is qualifying for the first of 4 races here this weekend. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Adam Jabay. Adam, it is a beautiful day outside. It started really cold this morning. It's up in the mid-60s right now, not a cloud in the sky, and it's time to set the grid for our first of 4 races, and we do that with a traditional qualifying session.
Great to be up here again, and one of the I commented on the first weekend of GLTC on our early live stream, and I think this is only the second weekend I've been in the box so far. I won't be here the whole time, but fun to be talking on the live stream. I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, it's really, really fun to have you up here watching the series that was sort of your brainchild, and what are we in season 6 or 7 now?
7th season of IBOC Touring Cup.
Wow. So there's a lot of topics and storylines to talk about in this one, and we're going to start with the driver that's at the very pointy end of that group right there. That is Eric Catil, the number 82 Hybrid Racing EG. He is on the outside looking in of a second championship. Now, he's been in this position a number of times before, but this time it's very, very close. Just 8 points between himself and Matan Rosenberg. There's no drops from here on out. Whoever earns the most points in this event and stacks up on what points they've already earned this season goes home the champion. Matan Rosenberg has an 8-point advantage in that Falcon Corvette.
Yeah, Matan's in a good spot, needs reliability, typically has it, and this is one of his home tracks. He only lives a few hours away. Spent a lot of time here with DE Orgs. He was here last year, did very well, won the championship here last year. So the car has a new Falcon livery on it, and we'll see how he can do.
So for Eric Catil, the big topic here is that he's in a 4-cylinder K24 front-wheel drive car versus the rear-wheel drive 484 Corvette. Now, the other entry that you'll also note on the timing and scoring, a huge wild card in this mix, Tom O'Gorman, 2022 IBOC GLTC champion, coming back in the car that earned him that championship alongside his impressive and incredible driving, Trainer 3. Tomo and Trainer 3 is a deadly combination, and it's going to absolutely play a factor in who wins this title this weekend.
I didn't expect to see that, when we're staring down at this event as the finale, but it's fun to have a storyline with so many past champions in this class, and it's going to be a fun few races. I'm looking forward to it.
We're so excited to see what goes on here, and a pretty sizable field this weekend as well, with drivers returning to competition from all season long. Eric Meadows is here, Gatos is here, Shukla, Pagano, Sam Scott, Josh Fleury rather, from all the way from California last time out, all the way back to Pittsburgh area for this event. Lisa Keys, Nick Barbado, Joel Morrison, and more.
Yeah, 40 cars registered. Typically, we do get a bunch of attrition, especially this late on in the year. I had 30 cars take practice 2, I believe. So we're expecting about 30 here. I think Kevin Zhu has changed a trans overnight.
Yeah, that was actually, where that transmission is from.
DJ's, right?
DJ Alessandrini's transmission. And there's a little bit of a story here, because Eric Catil, in this hybrid racing EG, he built this car after a crash from his EG hatch in 2021. And the crash that car was involved in is the same crash that DJ Alessandrini's transmission was in, because he was also involved in that accident.
In that crash,
and that car has sat idle for a couple of years, but that trans is now in Kevin Zhu's car. So a little bit of a history tie-in there.
Yeah, the car of Catil, probably one of the more developed Civics that's ever existed stateside, maybe anywhere. This car, I mean, it's such a pro-level build. It's so unique in the world of Honda Civics. Civics, and he's garnered a following because of that. It's such a cool build.
154, 345 for Eric Catil. Tomo, a 155 on the opening lap. Rosenberg to a 154, 389, 400s between them. This is going to be a slugfest every session all weekend long.
I just want him to have a good time above all, but yeah, we knew this would be really, really close, and I did not expect that out of lap 1 qualifying.
Yeah, this is going to just get spicy, to say the least. And Eric Catil, I mean, the effort that he's put in last season, that car started in such strong fashion, and it just fell on its face after an accident at Road America. You know, spent a lot of time trying to figure out electronic issues and things that were sort of put on by that collision a year ago. But this year, it came out swinging for the fences at CMP, destroyed everybody, and then it sort of fell back into the typical Eric Catil pattern where he's in the podiums all the time, in the conversation. But race wins didn't come again until we were a little bit later in the season at Lime Rock Park. Then Autobahn Country Club, 3 wins there, puts him right back in the championship hunt with Rosenberg.
Yeah, Matan Rosenberg attends so many events. He drives this car so much. He's driven it since he was probably 14. It's his dad's old HPDE chassis. He recaged it. He's been driving it in TC for, what, 3 years, 3rd season now? And incredible development, him and the team, always putting in work. His team has won Spirit of the Weekend because of the help they put into other cars. Yeah, great effort always. So you can't count this car out ever.
And then how about the car right ahead of him? That is Andy Smedegard. And no, it's not an S2000 from ASM. This is an FRS, and it has that FA24 that we were talking about during the track battle sessions. And Andy has been really successful with this. Has picked up a couple of wins so far, Lime Rock Park, and then again at Autobahn Country Club. But this car is fast, and P5 right now in the opening stages. But Rosenberg came to play. He's got that Falcon partnership and some fresh tires. He's going to be quick in every session.
Yep. Rosenberg with the climb up towards start finish, and you can see the kind of the mid-range power on display, but 2 cars wide into turn 1 on qual. There we go.
Yeah, I don't think Andy wanted to give it up. He was on a really good lap, and they're still battling down the stretch here to turn 3. But Andy up to 3rd place. Rosenberg clings to 2nd, but they're drag racing on a pretty equal footing to turn 3 here.
And Catil now with a 54.223 and a 54.284. They've both bested their times. We've got Andy jumping up into the 54s with a 54.595 for P3.
This is going to be just so fun to watch this weekend. Nick Barbado there breaking the top 10 here in his first win of the season back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course by virtue of the invert, which we'll do in race 4 this week. And that's going to be where the championship's won or lost, I feel, is how well you work through traffic on a track that's kind of tricky to pass on.
Yeah. Yeah, this track has a lot of back and forth. There's not, I mean, there's some good braking zones, but you can really screw up a braking zone when it's downhill and super high speed. So this place will be a fun place to finish the year. Some people don't love how it races. Some people love it so much. It really has different flavors. So.
There's Ryan Power in that GR86. This is a relatively new build.
Beautiful car, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. And a P7 at the moment. And he had previously run an ND Miata, so he's kind of played around with a couple different rear drive chassis with this familiar purple livery. But off to a very strong start right behind Brian Hedian, who I think was here last year in Eibach GLTC. We'd only seen him a couple of times, but every time he brings that S2000, he's in competition and up in the top 10 for having not been here all season. That is a local ringer if I've ever seen one.
Pretty impressive for Hedian and Power also being in P7. I mean, Eric Meadows has been here a lot. He's a very strong driver, has previous wins, and he's in P8. So, and we saw Paul Darling do real well at Lime Rock Park, currently P9, and less than 2.5 seconds between the top 10. But still a long way to go here in qualifying.
Yeah, there's Nicholas Barbado in that number 49. Tom O'Gorman just picked up past Eric Magnuson to steal 4th back. I mean, what do we have, half a second between the top 5 right now? This is just going to be so fun. We knew this coming in, that this was going to be close. I didn't think we would see it this close in qualifying. Advantage still Catil, though.
I mean, I paid for the whole seat, but I'm sitting on the edge right now. This is fun to watch.
Yeah, so think about it like this. If this was a race right now, Catil would be defeating Rosenberg by 4 points. That would already cut the lead in half for Rosenberg with just 1 race. Yep. But, of course, this is just qualifying for that race. Right now, they're going to start on the same row, that front row. So, ooh, that was really, really tight by Barbado Pascados there. So, but Nick has had a nice season himself, actually. I don't know exactly where he is in the points, but I think still top 10.
We're even seeing big jumps in time from the back of the pack. McDaniel's just jumped a whole bunch in P30. Car that I've driven, actually. I got rear-ended by Randy Pope at the VIR 13 hour in 2013.
You're a lucky boy.
Yeah, that car bought from one of the people that helped create the rule set, Mike Taylor. He helped me create the rule set years ago. That was his original SCCA STL car, and kind of fun to see it get a whole new front half after a big crash with Mike, and it's out here with a K24 in I think it's second Touring Cup race of the season.
So there's Barbado. I mentioned he's top 10 of the points. 9th is where he stands coming into this event, and still a chance to improve on that. Michael Hilo is not here, and he's only 3 points behind him, so opportunity to move up. Here's Thomas Moss in the 515, sort of a battleship-looking livery on this thing. Always a cool-looking car.
I love how low this car is, too. It's time attack low. It's super cool build.
Now, right now, I think he's scored 24th, right ahead of Clayton Fitzpatrick. Thomas has been with us for quite some time as well.
Yeah.
One of the drivers that puts in a lot of laps in Grid Life competition. Andy Smedegaard improves on his best lap, a 154.550.
The top 4 are all in the 54s, and they're separated by less than 0.4.
Yeah, I mean, and at the front, a K24, V8, FA24, and another K24.
Yeah.
And then an LS in the Magnuson car.
Yeah, can't count him out either.
No.
Semi-local, one of the more experienced championship drivers. He's won a lot of championships elsewhere. So Eric Magnuson right there in the gold and yellow 330. He's always got something. He converted to GT trim at Audubon just for fun, and it was fun to see him. He also ran his Super in time attack. So another one of those drivers that just wants to drive. He came to COTA for his first time with us a couple of years ago, and I haven't seen anybody assimilate and become everybody's best friend faster than Magnuson.
This is a real good test there. See Tom O'Gorman in behind, really getting up on the curbing, chasing down that 330. You saw the LS BMW pull away a little bit in that dig up the hill, but Tomo gained it all back in the corners. The ebb and flow of multi-make single-class racing.
Tom is right there, and that 418 of Magnuson is doing some work. Looks like Tom backing off, but Tom was right on top of him.
He was in the 727 this weekend.
That's a new rental.
Cairo.
Yes. He's driven the car a bunch of times in Canada with the JZ guys, and Eric De La Riva not in that car this weekend. That car also is the Club TR car that James Houghton kind of inserted himself into the championship last year and threw a monkey wrench at everybody's plans, but hanging a big rear wheel there. 8th Gen Civics are just, I mean, it's actually not a Civic, but it's the Acura version of one of those in Canada. But 8th Gens are such a great car, chassis-wise.
Well, Lisa Keys off at turn 5. I think she's going to get back on course, no problem. Matan Rosenberg came across the stripe. He's still on the road, Adam, but no pickup that time. And here's Barbado, and that's Joel Morrison. That's still V6 in that car. Yep. Still a J-Series Honda V6. Another different way to go fast in an S2000. We've seen a bunch of different ways to do it. Brian Hetty in an S2 goes up to 5th.
The parity here is making me proud. I'm very happy of this. This track is a great track for really balancing different builds. This class was always kind of designed to be a mousetrap. You build your best mousetrap. It creates, that stir in the builder energy of a driver, and but that also kind of separates. You get different horses for different courses, where some cars are strong at one track and not strong at the other. But this is a very great place to end the season with a good balance overall. Yeah, it doesn't reward anything too much.
13 different winners this season.
Wow, really?
Which is the most ever by a lot.
I don't know how you know all these things.
Do the math. But down the hill, Nick Barbado is one of those 13 winners, and his win came, as I mentioned, race 4 at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. A couple of drivers like Eric Meadows also earned their first win on an invert. Michael Hilo, another first-time winner. I think he did that a couple of times, actually, back at Thunder Hill last year, and then repeated that at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in race 4 on an invert. So that really definitely changes the math. And if you're a guy like Brian Hedian, or even Joel Morrison, if you're in that top 10 range, you could absolutely end up on an invert and drive away when everyone else is battling for position.
Yeah, the winner gets to roll. He gets to keep the dice, or she gets to keep the dice, and so that everybody knows it's not rigged. We bought a lot of 10-sided die the last couple of years, but it's anybody's game for the last race of the weekend.
So Matan Rosenberg still out on the racetrack trying to nip away at Eric Catil, and I don't think he's going to continue. He's going to pit in this time. I don't think that this is a huge deal because he's still on the front row with Catil, but I think it's going to be really hard to change the balance back in your favor. If Catil goes and wins race 1, from there on out, the weekend kind of cascades. So I don't know that if you start behind Catil, it's going to be hard to wrench it away from him.
I don't know, though, about this track and opening lap parity between these cars. I mean, we do have the asphalt that's going to grain in right away. You're not going to have a cold tire scenario too much, but we're going to have cold mornings. And I don't know which side I would actually choose if I was starting a race here. I'm not positive. I think they both have different advantages.
Yeah, going back to last year, I mean, we didn't stream this event last season, but there is some great video from Alex Freeman where in the rain especially, which is a conversation we should talk about as well, rain driving, Tom O'Gorman braked 8 markers later than everybody. He just sailed it off in there like the track was dry and woke everybody up.
And it works.
And it works.
Nobody could believe how well this track bites in the rain. So I was talking with the manager yesterday, and the amount of work that you can kind of see it in different angles here. The amount of work that went into making this track drain also, it is second to none in the race car world, at least in the continental U.S. It's unbelievable how well it drains, so it's unbelievable how well it races in the rain as well.
Paul Darling, 2-time winner this season. Both wins came at Lime Rock Park after a handful of top 10s earlier in the season. He sits 11th in the point standings, just 2 behind Daniel Geraldo. Without Daniel here, I think Paul Darling will be a shoe-in for the top 10 at some point. But just looking to pad the stats after getting 4 top 5s at Lime Rock Park, and right now inside the top 10 here in qualifying.
His fastest in the E46 of 55.748. Very simple car, engine and trans wise. It has just a cool rear diff and a slightly detuned S54.
Looks like he might be backing it down as well. And there's still time left on the board, but we're seeing the track kind of drop away because people don't want to run a million laps on their tires. Brian Hedian has been one of the drivers that's been out here since the drop of the green, though. Here he is in this number 824 Honda S2000.
I got a big thing for bright wheels lately. That car looks great. What a cool car. Neon green is so neat.
I think that the question for everyone else is a driver that's sort of a racetrack ringer like this, what kind of chaos can he bring into the mix if he gets up into the top 5 or on the podium?
And a driver whom the other drivers might not know as well. We always encourage in the drivers meeting for everybody to talk to the people they're going to be racing around, even if you do a post-race or a pre-race or in hot pits or in grid, because you will race better with the driver next to you if you know them, if you can humanize them. They're not just a bobblehead inside of an S2000. But it does take some time to really grow comfortable with somebody door to door, especially at a track like this, which has so many elements and so many braking zones and blind crests and dropping hills, and it's going to be fun to watch him in the top 5 probably at race 1.
Eric Meadows up to 7th place on that lap. Brian Hedian, I think, has backed it down a little bit. I had to giggle a bit. People in the chat saying that is Paul Gosh Darn Darling. Yeah. And that's my new favorite nickname for him. If you know Paul Darling well,
he is a sweet boy.
He is a sweet boy.
He's also worked for GRIDLIFE a whole bunch this year as driver mentor, as data gathering, and a lot of these drivers, they'll race a few times and then they'll work a few times because we're a small org. We need a lot of help, and the brain power that exists inside of our paddock is kind of, and the passion for the racing and for building the series up. I imagine it's got to be second to none. But if this exists everywhere, good for everywhere, because we have it really, really good here at GRIDLIFE.
Yeah, there's so many people that have offered assistance. Even Hans Horpedal has helped us out this year.
Yeah, been our rookie mentor throughout the entire season for all the wheel-to-wheel drivers.
Yeah.
And
here's
we were
Kevin
just talking
Zhu.
about Kevin earlier.
Yeah, he was about to sell his ticket earlier, and people don't let you quit around here. So I don't remember the name of the gentleman, but they sent someone up to DJ Alessandrini's house near Cleveland, Ohio, to pull the transmission out of that car. It's a different gear ratio that his car's set up for, so I think it might not be ideal gearing, but it did fit, and he's back on track to do the Herculean effort of others in the paddock.
I believe it does have an OS Gickens, so good diff. It's a well-built. DJ's car was really fast back in the day when he was driving it, and so I think this has a pretty decent transmission.
I still think this car, his car still could be super fast, and we haven't seen him bring it back into the light to repair it. There is pretty extensive repairs still to do, but to see his transmission, the heart of that car, put back in this car, I think DJ was actually trying to sell that car for $5,000, which is the cost of the transmission. He's like, you could buy this really nice trans with a race car attached to it.
I'll give you this caged roller also. Just take it out of my life.
But Kevin Zhu has done really, really well with a fairly simple car.
Yep.
Just really aero coilovers and not much else
One
done
of
to
the
that.
only weak points he's fought, it really is just the, like, rear hub and some wheel reliability. He's had a couple of freak problems, but always a very well-driven car.
Yeah, he had a couple hub issues at Lime Rock Park last year, and then he had that again this year in a different series.
Yeah, I thought, or was it a wheel that broke? I forget.
Yeah, wheel hub,
Yeah,
same difference,
something
but
broke.
yeah. Oh, Tom O'Gorman, by the way, snuck up there to pole while we were watching.
Holy smokes.
154, 184 for Tom O'Gorman, and puts the 2022 champ right back on top.
Yeah.
And that is, maybe that's an okay thing for Catil because he's still on the front row, but it knocks Rosenberg back to row 2 alongside Andy Smedegard, who has already demonstrated he's not interested in being passed.
That was almost like a full half-second pickup for Tom. And so far into this session, too.
Yeah. I mean, he might have just cooled things down and gone back out, but that was an unbelievable time for Tomo. So we can jump back to Kevin Zhu on his charge down the hill. Zhu currently scored, I think it was 16th last time I saw. So not bad, all things considered, because he wasn't going to continue running this weekend. It still has a license plate on it, still is registered and legal to drive. And lives in Massachusetts and actually works for iRacing.
Yep, got that track rat ethos. He's just got it's a tool to him, man.
Yeah.
And Jim Smith here in the S2000, Zach Lavoie's old car. Been driving it for about a year and a half.
Yeah, I think that he was also going to try to sell this car too. There's a couple on the market right now.
He's got that Luke McGrew, like, I need to build a new car mindset. Likes this car, though. Had pretty decent luck with it, aside from some mechanicals. He's done very well whenever he's raced.
Yeah, done a really, really great job with it, although I don't see him
he was in the top 15.
Oh, there he is, P14. All right.
P14 with a 57.201 for Jim.
And Josh Fleury right behind, 23rd in that Subaru. That's a really strong run for that car. He's been dealing with issues on and off getting that sorted, but
effectively a brand new build.
What a cool build, though.
I think you're going to see more content coming out from Laguna Seca on this. I saw some famous YouTubers shooting videos of it,
slide into turn 17, kick it back up, all-wheel drive, baby. Let's go.
As long as he can make it through. We have stuffed a Subaru there very hard in the past. I don't want to do it again. Lisa Keys running still. Glad to see that. A lot of mechanical gremlins going away in that car, hopefully. And you're top of the box here with a 54.184. And what do they call this? Trainer 3, the 94?
Yeah, and I think this is, when you look at the cars that have been built in GRIDLIFE history, this is the most successful car in GRIDLIFE history by far. For 2022, we had 40 races across 10 weekends.
Didn't he win 20 of them?
He won 20 of the 40 races. Dominance that we had never seen before.
And it was still like a fairly simple build on paper. Really good suspension, I think it was a JDM unopened K24, just, the oiling mods, and that's about it. But we saw a huge jump in S2000s that year as well, because everybody in the ASM camp and associated with them was working together. And we also saw that similarly with Corvettes last year, where Corvettes in TC just jumped up a whole bunch because you're faster together. He's slowed too much. He's just getting out of the way of Lena there.
Yeah, just very gentlemanly maneuver there to let Lena go by. But again, that championship run was just unbelievable. And he had been back a couple of times along the way, including last year at Pit Race, and then also at Lime Rock Park, made a couple of returns here and there. But we
put on a demo in Lime Rock Park. 23, 24.
Yeah, he lapped a whole bunch of cars.
Yeah, super fun to watch.
But it's good to have him back, and I think I'm really curious because it's going to give Catil and Rosenberg a run for their money. It's going to make the points even closer, because remember that the points are, I say remember like you don't know this because you own the series, but the points, the higher up you finish, the bigger the disparity is between the points. Now,
is that how that works?
If you put Tom
O'Gorman, don't pay attention to points. I wrote it, I forgot.
If you put Tom O'Gorman ahead of those two, then things get a lot closer. And then those individual positions will matter a whole lot more. But I like the rainbow treatment of the rear wing. I think that might be new.
This car got one of the prettiest, but also one of the toughest looking liveries. I think it's such a unique livery.
Here's one of my favorite cars in the field.
It's so cool. The right-hand drive BMW.
Yeah, this is Michael Pagano's 116i. This is a Japanese market BMW. Right-hand drive, paddle shifted.
What engine does it have in it?
It's an N52?
It's the NA whatever, but it sounds wild. It's got a lot of vibe to it, it's got a good stance, tough wide body. It's just a cool build. When he told me about this, I thought, yeah, that's one way to do it. I would do it that way too if I was starting over. It's such a cool build.
Yeah, and again, this is a great example of drivers, just like Catil, just like Jackie Ding, taking a car that they want to build and turning it into their dream vision. Are there better chassis? Probably. Is there a more fun and better looking way to go fast? No.
Not much of one. There are other ways. This is one of the better ways. Right now, Pagano with a 57.971 in P18. Not too far out of striking range, though. There's a lot of people within about a second and a half here. This is going to be a wild top, 5 through 20, I think.
Yeah, I think we'll all be fingers crossed tomorrow at the green flag with how tight things are.
I just want them to all take the checker. That's all I want.
And M54 is the answer to the engine.
M54.
Yeah, I thought it was NMSOP, whatever.
Yeah, SOB,
whatever
WTF, whatever.
Yeah, K24, yeah.
A 8 HP auto-ish, whatever, DSG, PDK, whatever.
It's numbers and acronyms and whatever, you know. But anyway, there's Pagano across the stripe there, and also just outside the top 10, we haven't seen him yet, but Blake Korth in that Porsche Cayman. That was a winning formula-built car, which we know is a very solid build.
Very pretty car, definitely has some wins, and Blake has a lot of driving history. It's pretty new to the series. I think he started at Midwest Festival, has ran with us a few times, and that car is fast. We know he can drive it, and we know it's fast. Basically 2 seconds back, but I think it's his first time here as well, so. First year in that car, and fun to see that car back inside the top 10, top 15.
So here's Lena Shin in the 917, and had her on the Grid Life drivers meeting a little earlier in the year and asked why the number 917 and why the Golf livery to go with. And she mentioned that her plan originally was to use the number 212, which was ultimately ended up being taken by her team boss. So she went with 917, which was her area code growing up in the New York area. And when she decided to redo the livery because it had kind of seen some things, she decided to go with a livery that sort of matched the number, kind of going back in Porsche racing history a little bit, and that's why you've got that paint scheme on the car.
Yeah, what did they have? Flat 12s in the 917?
Like something crazy. Who knows? But
Can-Am days.
Don't give Mike Burrows any ideas. So he'll go crazy with it.
He's putting a V12 in the new car.
Yes.
I think he still has one of our transponders too. I got to hound him for that. The car got on the Falcon trailer and it left.
Oh boy. There's Lena Chin throttling up now. She is scored 13th at the moment, a 156.430. We'll see if she picks up this time across the stripe. The answer to that is going to be no. It doesn't look like it'll be a pickup for her.
But man, the time delta between like P5 and P15 is so close. I think we're going to have a wild first couple laps in race 1 here.
Yeah, she didn't track out all the way there leaving turn 2, so she might be. It's hard to tell sometimes. Yeah. Still giving the brakes a little check before the braking into turn 3. This is such a fun sequence down through 3 to 5.
I still get scared because I don't remember where 3 and 5 go. But, it's a fun track.
On the brakes hard down here into this big compression, and then just got to get on throttle so early. Run a little wider.
I do love how smooth the apex curbs are. You really throw a whole car up on top of them. It's what a beautiful facility.
Salil Shukla's on track. I also saw a yellow flash on Andy Smedegard's name, which tells me that he might be out for one more go. Coming across the stripe, but no pickup. So maybe starting a flyer for the 212.
Yep, Salil coming off of a one lap of America victory. I think second year in a row. Not in this car, obviously, but a lot of seat time with Salil this year.
Yeah, he's been with us for quite a while and has kind of followed us across most of the schedule now.
He hooked up with ASM, I think, because of One Lap of America, and jumped into TC. I think he ran a little bit of TA also before jumping into IBUC GLTC.
So checker is out now, and anyone that's on a flying lap is allowed to complete it. I think the only car that I'm curious about is that 212 of Andy Smedegard, if he's out there on a flyer. And I don't know that he is. Paul Darling's pitting in that M3. Here comes Salil up the hill.
Yeah, looks like he's coming in too.
And here's Andy. So this is the car that I'm wondering about, because he went back out on the racetrack, maybe to give one more go at it. He's still P4.
It does not look like he's on a cooldown lap.
No, it does not. Using the curb there and into turn 12. This is another fun section, but I get nervous because the braking zone for 12, the outside curbing goes away. So if you end up out there, you run into the grass pretty easily. And Joel Morrison to 8th at the very tail end.
Joel, 55.487.
And Andy coming down the hill, and we'll see if he's still on it. Looks like he might be off now.
Hard to tell. It doesn't have the aggression now that you'd expect to see on a flyer.
All right, I think he's cooling it down. So let's have a look here at our results for the IBOC GRIDLIFE Touring Cup Series here in qualifying. It was mighty close and kind of under the radar. Tom O'Gorman steals it away from Eric Cattell at the very tail end, 154-184. Then Cattell with a 154-223, but Cattell and Rosenberg. This is critical, though. Qualifying points count. So 3-2-1. Cattell now brings that gap down to 7 points to Rosenberg. Then Smedegaard, Brian Hedian, top 5. Magnuson, Meadows, Morrison, Barbado, and Paul Darling.
Man, my palms are sweating. And I don't care who wins. I just want them to have a good time and put on a good show. I know they're going to put on a good show. I just want them to have a really good end of the season.
Yeah, and we could look down 11 through 20 on the next page of this here as well and see the rest of the running order, because it was a pretty fierce fight all the way down through the rest. But I just have to say, I mean, how many cars we have under 155? 4 cars, almost 5 with Brian Hedian in there within the margin of error there. Here's Ryan Power, Blake Corthley, Chin, James Smith, Salil Shukla, and then how tight it is between 14th and 18th there. That's another nice spread there. Michael Pagano, John Gatos, and I didn't know Donald was out here in the 404.
Yeah, he also ran here with us when we did our Super Grid Enduro beta test years ago.
Good to have him. Josh Fleury in that number 48 Subaru. Nelly Latos in the number 462 wraps up our field at a 203-358. We'll have a look at our highlights here from IBOC GLTC qualifying. And on the start, it was a pretty busy racetrack. Out of the gate, though, it was Eric Cattell on the charge, and he led qualifying for most of the session. He's got a couple of sets of those Falcon RT 660s he's thrown on the front of this thing. But Matan Rosenberg went second quick. Then he and Andy Smedegaard had a little back and forth.
Yeah, I think they both set their PBs on this lap here, too.
Yeah, really close. Then, of course, Nick Barbado. Really close moment there with John Gatos in the 444. Magnuson and Tom O'Gorman chasing each other around, but Tomo would eventually go on to get up on top of the standings with a pole position. Lisa Keys had a little bit of a moment here at turn 5.
Yeah, this car, she's still fairly new here, but she did, with a team, win our Super Grid GLTC class in that car. So back when it had a little 1.6 liter in it.
Yeah, there's Donald Louie, and then, of course, Natalie Latos in the 462. But Tom O'Gorman gets the job done in the number 94 ASM. Trainer 3 is back up on top of a GRIDLIFE Touring Cup session. And IBOC GLTC qualifying is complete here from Pittsburgh International Race Complex.
For cars new and old, whether it's your first car or you've had a few in your day, their parts live a hard and sometimes short life. You then have a choice to make. Hope it works or know it works. At FCP Euro, we've been helping enthusiasts fix, maintain, and upgrade their cars with quality European car parts and hand-curated service kits since 1986.
These are my race treads for going the distance.
Racetreads.com. Tires for every adventure.
The GRIDLIFE Rush Series concluded a couple of weeks ago out on the West Coast at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, but this time at Pit Race, it is an encore for the GRIDLIFE Rush Series and their first year as a fully integrated championship within the GRIDLIFE paddock. Welcome back to Pittsburgh International Race Complex. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Adam Jabay. It's now time for qualifying for the GRIDLIFE Rush Series. Just about 20 of these cars, GSX motorcycle engines, 150-ish horsepower, under $50,000 to get yourself started in one of these. I saw one go up for sale for $33,000 with a trailer the other day. Adam, this is a fantastic, budget-oriented series that gives you a ton of performance for your dollar, and the racing has been absolutely thrilling this year.
Nick Billingsley giving us the old heart sign right there, the the drivers in this series have been really fun to get to know as I've been race director for the series this year. So, yeah, a lot of reliable drivers here in our grid this weekend. So hopefully we see some great racing. And as you said, these cars they're like, it's a great budgetary spot if you want to do a spec racing, low consumables per hour. You can typically run these cars for, I've heard, roughly $150 an hour, brakes and tires included. And the factory also supporting a lot of the development, and really these cars are they're a few years old now, so you're seeing how to keep them alive. You know, what's the failure points, what's the maintenance items, and we've seen nothing but solid reliability versus 2-3 years ago. It's fun to see the development. The drivers have gotten faster, but one of the things that I like the most is they're so serviceable. You can have the body off in minutes. Also, the chassis are incredibly robust. If you've never seen one without the body on it, really, really cool cars.
Honestly, we've seen a couple of these things take fairly sizable hits. Think back at Road America, TJ Hunt's car crashed at the kink.
Right.
New bodywork, and they're good to go. They're very, very strong for their size.
They're also, they're all the same bodywork, so everybody has a spare of one thing or the other. You can usually find the parts, especially if you've got a decent sized field here. 15 to 30 cars usually means somebody's got the part you need if you break something.
And that is a gorgeous shot. That's Mac behind the camera there. That is so cool. That was art for our broadcast and production team. Again, Project Prime behind all the pictures that you're seeing here today. And we're just getting warmed up. We got so much more planned for Saturday and Sunday with all of our racing and the podium sprint and the rest coming your way. So stay tuned tomorrow all day and all day on Sunday. But the Grid Life Rush Series heads out on the racetrack. The other thing to note is that we've seen these cars, we talked about 150 horsepower, but they're incredibly lightweight. Yeah. And that means that it transitions to very fast lap time. So we were talking 54s in GLTC. I think we've been seeing 52s in these cars.
Yep, we're seeing a 1,325-pound minimum weight for these cars. So all these drivers obviously trying to get very close to that. But that's with the spec tire for dry. The spec tire for wets is a little bit lighter, actually, because the tires are lighter. But hopefully we only use the dry tires this weekend.
Hoping that's the case. Oh, a little lockup down there into the turn 5 area. Ooh, tight quarters there with Jared Anderson on the outside. I didn't quite get the number of the car on the inside there, but again, the short wheelbase of these cars would make you think that they're pretty tricky on the limit, but we've seen that you can really slide these things around and drive them on the edge, and that's why it seems like when we've had drivers like Nate Hamilton, TJ Hunt, and Grant Anderson jump in these cars with a drifting background, they actually seem to do really well.
Chris Forsberg as well.
Yeah, Forsberg
one time did quite well, but yeah, so the car was designed to be a reliable car you can get parts for easily, because some of these sports racers that you see at track days and in other racing series, they're hard to get parts for, they're hard to work on. So it's designed to meet that segment, but it's also designed to, you can set it up any way you want. Everything is like infinitely adjustable. You can make it drive the way you are comfortable, but kind of neutrally loose is what we see as being kind of the fast setup. Not killing loose, but neutrally drivable loose. Ooh, another big lockup here.
Yeah, no ABS or traction control in these cars, so it does make them a little bit trickier on the brakes at the limit. But Jalen Batley, the first driver to come across the scoring, a driver that was playing second fiddle most of the weekend to Bryce Mersberg at Autobahn Country Club. I think he's looking forward to racking up some victories here.
Jalen came in this year. This was his first actual wheel-to-wheel racing. Did some Skip Barber for learning how to do wheel-to-wheel, but this is the first season, and we've seen nothing but improvement over and over from Jalen. Him and his family out here, and they were out at Laguna Seca. I think they were out at just about every round this year. Great to have him in the paddock. And Jeremy Boyson there in a newly wrapped Rush SR. Jeremy is one of the drivers that's driven almost every class we've ever had. He's driven everything except for Club SC and Street GT, I think, and Club TR. But he's had street class cars, he's had unlimited class cars, he's ran TC, he's ran GLGT, he's ran Rush now, and glad that he chooses us to play with. It's great to have him out here.
Yeah, really cool, and it's just such a great guy to chat with as well. So I love having Jeremy in the paddock, and he's had a couple different Rushes. He was renting some for a while, but I think he has his own now.
I believe this is his.
Yeah. And see Jared Anderson kind of slicing and dicing there with again, couldn't quite get the number.
The only problem with them, the numbers have to be small because there's not that much flat body work.
I made the number. I can't even blame anybody but myself. I made the number boards.
Yeah, you did design them. There's not a lot of big area to put them though.
I have to start making them like put them on the wing or something.
Yeah, or get like be able to send a bat signal up. We could look at the sky and see who it is.
We could use AI to scan the screen. Yeah. In a world full of buzzwords.
Yeah, roughly a 20-car field. Ooh, and a spin, and luckily they're going. This, can't see the number there, but if you don't clutch in on a spin, often you can hurt the starter or not be able to restart because you lose neutral. It can be tough sometimes when the car's hot to find neutral with some older cars, but hopefully that car is continuing. Seeing a green flag still.
Yeah, Jalen Batley, first driver across the stripe, does a 54.7, but Jeremy Boysen, 54.1 first lap around.
Top spot for Jeremy, and hopefully he can get his one of his first front row starts. We'd love to see that.
Yeah, it's Rob Desjardins in the number 81 up to second place, and Stout in the number 1. That's a new driver this weekend, Trip Stout.
Yeah, 15 years old, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kelsey Billingsley, sorry, Adam, top 5.
No, I talked to Trip this morning. He had a little bit of a rough day in practice yesterday, and he actually asked me, how do you recover from a crash? I said, mentally? He's like, yeah, I think I'm struggling. And talked to him a whole bunch. Looks like he's doing okay. Hopefully I gave him some good advice.
Well, things look like they were going all right.
Doing okay so far. P4 overall with a 54.741.
Yep, here's that 88 to Jalen Batley once again. Mentioned 4 seconds to Bryce Mersberger at Autobahn Country Club. And just like Chick Hicks is getting a little tired of finishing second, I think. So, but
and rounding out the top 10, Bill Dorrance in a 58.419, his first season with us as well. I think his 4th race. And one of the Billingsleys jumping 54.896.
Yeah, that's Nick, and then Kelsey's right behind. Yeah, Nick in the 9, Kelsey in the 19.
And P5 through P7 comes on the same trailer. Kelsey and Jared Anderson, if I'm not screwing names up, are husband and wife. So.
I think you're exactly right about that. Eric Grimm to the top
with a 52.671. This dude double drives all the time. His poor family is jumping him into one car or the other. But when Eric Grimm is good, he's really good. When he's having good mechanical luck, he's having a great day.
As you say that, I don't recall seeing him in the IMAC GLTC qualifying.
I saw him earlier today.
Okay.
But I didn't see him in qualifying.
Batley goes right back to the top, 51.9.
Wow. I was not expecting 51s out of these guys.
No, and Trip Stout up to 4th again. So a little bit of back and forth. AJ Campbell running top 10 here. Strong run for her. And Paul Click, by the way, I saw him the other day. He's excited to be back again for one more round. And Kelsey Billingsley up to 4th place in the 19. And there's Ayrton in that sort of calicoed car. We had mentioned earlier that he's got the same livery. He was asked a bunch of people, but me included, what livery he should put on this car. Should I go something different or match the GLTC car? I said, I think this is your brand. You got to stick with it.
Yeah, I think you might have something here.
And here he is.
It is easy to pick him out. That is one of the problems with the Rush is often people just do highlight colors on top of the factory white. And it can be hard to tell who's who. But you know who Ayrton is when he's out there on the live stream.
Yeah, you do. Through turn 12 and 14 now and headed down the hill. He's been knocked down to 2nd. Jason Ayler to 3rd. And then Max Kraus jumps up to 5th in 3:14. He had a nice run at Autobahn as well a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, really good.
I'd say a couple weeks ago. It was basically a month ago now.
Feels like yesterday.
It does feel like yesterday. So here's Ayrton.
See what he's got on this next flyer.
And Nick Billingsley up to 3rd. Ayrton almost dropping wheels there at the exit of 17, pushing the limits. And they were struggling with this car a little bit to find the speed in it. Yeah. And we know Ayrton's very solid. He had been renting a car previously. Last year at Lime Rock Park was his first event. And now, provisional pole, 151.877.
Back on top. Only took one more lap, but real close there between the top two. 51.87 and 51.91.
See him jump the curb there, leaving turn 1. He's feeling very gripped up right now. I think he's in the zone.
Yeah, setup is huge on these cars too, and these tires last a long time. But obviously, fresh tires are always solid. But you can run these tires for a whole season if you wanted to. But setup is the name of the game. Oh man,
slicing and dicing. Whoa, a little luck up into 17.
Hopefully, I don't have to investigate this one.
It gives you a pretty nice view.
Yeah, it does.
Jared Anderson slotting in between a couple of cars here.
I think I know where I have to go afterwards and make sure we don't have anything to talk about. Yeah.
And Kelsey Billingsley was 4th a minute ago. Now she's down to 8th. That just shows how much it's been shifting. Jared Anderson up to 9th that time through. And just great parity across the front of the field right now. A lot of drivers in that 54 range, 154.0 for, well, 52.6 for Jason Ayler, jumps up to third place. Oh, Anderson really hucking it through there.
A little bit loose there. Driving with the rear tires.
I haven't seen that lighting set up on the top of these cars before.
Yeah, they get a little bit of a freedom to play with the lights, I think.
Yeah, I haven't seen that configuration yet, but pretty cool.
A couple different light bars from the factory. Different generations of things. You know, the car is roughly the same powertrain and everything, but they've been changing things here and there. You know, with the Trident roll bar versus the original roll bar. Working on. They've got a footrest for drivers that don't want to jump over everything. You can stand on the body, and just a lot of little development on this chassis.
And just making it just a little bit better here and there, and
or easier to live with.
Or easier to live with, yeah. And we also saw the debut of the Rush SRX at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, which is another product that has a turbocharged variant of this car, and also has DRS and push-to-pass, which are very cool. But,
we'll see the next year development on that car, hopefully putting a bunch of, basically the factory shifted their efforts towards customer deliveries because they've been getting so much inquiry and selling in more cars than they could produce back then, and they needed to shift some of their focus into getting the products out the door. So there's a lot of Rushes being built right now. There's, I think, around 300 of these cars in existence now. And they're very popular, actually, down south in Mexico as well.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's interesting. Changing the order again, Jalen Batley back to the top, 51.488. We are flying around here. Desjardins up to fourth, and then Anderson to fifth. So just a revolving door at the top of the order for now. See if Grimm's got anything left in it. The other thing is they're running a pretty small wheel and tire package, a 185. Is it on a 14-inch, 15-inch?
13.
13, that's right. So we're tiny little wheels and tires.
Pretty sure it's 13-inch.
Yeah, and that will save some cost as well when you're not running 305, 200 treadwear crazy stuff.
And it also is rotational weight, too. If you don't have a ton of torque with a motor like this, you're revving to 14,000 RPMs, but you don't have grunt, you want to keep that rotational mass down.
Max Krause improves to 7th. And Jeremy Boysen still occupying the top 10. 18 cars have taken time. And again, Batley leading by about a half a second. There's Jason Ayler. Kind of a breakout weekend for him was that Mid-Ohio Sports Car course earlier in the year, and had a handful of great results after that.
Yeah, really reliable driver. One of the ones I don't have to yell at. I love that. I love that.
Did you get on Manager Bay's nice list for Christmas?
Yeah,
if you don't get yelled at. Got a wicked cool fire suit too.
Yeah. Sponsored by Peak Antifreeze.
Yeah.
Based out of the Northwest Indiana, Southside Chicago area.
And so Ayler pulling himself out of turn 5, headed up the hill here. Slipstream was a big factor at some of the larger racetracks. I'm not sure how much it'll really play a factor here. There's only one real straight, and it's kind of the front straight or the stretch heading into turn 17, but I don't think there's enough time to really ramp up that slipstream.
We're not seeing it play a part in qualifying too much, but you never know what's going to happen in a race, too. You might get somebody latched on and see a big drop in time with a car like this. I can imagine a really good draft being worth still probably multiple tenths here. The straightaways are long, and you can probably draft through a big section of the back half, too.
Yeah, there's a new livery I don't actually recognize. That is Chuck Desjardins in the 55. And we've seen him before, but I think the graphics package has changed a little bit on this car from event to event.
They do that in Rush. They change it, or they borrow their buddy's bodywork, or...
There's a lot of bodywork borrowing going on.
Hopefully not much this weekend.
Yeah. And Ben Carroll, another new name I don't recognize, joining the fray. And it's like the read of my mind, Adam, the 777 right here in behind. And Max Krause up to 4th, jumps up with a 153.569. So lots of progression even late in the session, too. It's not like they're running one lap and being done. A lot of cars on the racetrack still finding speed, still finding time. I think it shows the consistency of the car over the course of the run, and the fact that the drivers are still out there just digging, using up their time on the racetrack.
Yeah, these cars can run 30-some minutes in various fuel cell configurations. There are now 3 different fuel cells, different homologation requirements for different sanctioning bodies. But they do really well in a 20-minute sprint.
Yeah, they've been incredibly exciting. I think some weekends, even looking back at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, some of the best racing of the weekend was in the GRIDLIFE Rush Series, including the first podium for TJ Hunt, a popular YouTuber that has been with us for a couple of years, drifting, but now in the Rush Series. That was so fun to watch. Had a great interview post-race. Just really cool, great addition to the GRIDLIFE paddock. And they're living the grid life, too.
Yeah, the Sunoco boys they've improved so much too, learning racecraft and learning these cars, and it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, there's Paul Click in that 71 talked about earlier, trying to find a little bit of speed here, just 2/10 behind Bill Dorrance and Larry Brady just up the road from him, and running out of time. Only a couple minutes remaining here in this session to run your best lap. Kelsey Billingsley, no pickup that time, stays at the 54.4. Love this section of the track, the turn 12 through 14. You climb up over this crest, and this turn right here is blind. You can't see over the top of that.
Nope. You have to know where it is. I still haven't known where it is.
I lifted in my car. I was not comfortable, even with 180 wheel horsepower. That AJ Campo, that is
one of the Carolina cars.
Yeah. Coming back around, it would be not Campo, it's the one, that's Stout. And for a first event, ooh, big wiggle there, but first event P10, not a bad place to be. I think he might have pace to improve on that a little bit.
Yeah.
And last time around at a 55.1, so I think he's still kind of in the ballpark of being able to improve. Have you had a chance to jump in one of these things yet?
Nope, and I don't plan on it because I don't want to buy another car. I don't have any room to put one. I don't want to want one.
It's like riding a motorcycle, right? Like they tell you not to ride a motorcycle because it'll ruin cars for you.
Yeah, and you can put a lot more motorcycles in a two-car garage.
Yeah, so I think there's probably something similar with the Rush Series stuff.
Before he passed away, Dave Haase tried to get me down to drive one. The founder and the original CEO, kind of inventor of these cars, and I basically told him, I can't do it, Dave. I just can't do it. My wife will kill me.
They extended the same offer to me at Laguna Seca last year, and I didn't end up having the time to do it, but I still plan on it at some point.
The coolest part about this is literally like a 6'8" person can drive this, or a 4'2" person can drive these cars. Like they're very spacious inside, actually.
Yeah, they're actually, when the bodywork comes off, you get a really clear understanding of kind of how if you take all the bodywork off, it looks like it should be a much larger car. It's very wide, very deep.
Yeah, huge kind of anti-intrusion boxes on the side of the car for side protection, and multiple stories of people rolling these cars, and then rebuilding. We haven't had one have a big one like that, but there's many stories because they've been a race car for a while, racing in other series, but rolling 8 times and rebuilding it in 8 hours. With the chassis fine, you fix the bits, you change the bodywork, and you do it over beers. That's part of the reason this car was designed, was to be serviced and to be to be doing what it's doing here, where it's attainable car to make cool little IndyCar noises with.
Honestly, the soundtrack is one of my favorite things. It sounds like we're at a Le Mans weekend or something, like at LMP2s.
My parents came to the first Summer Apex event, and they just drove all around the facility. Their favorite thing to watch was those quote-unquote little mini Indy cars, which is cool.
Oh, boy. So there's the 99 of Jared Anderson making his way around, currently 6th on the board. I will bet that we'll get a checker, not this time, but probably next time by the stripe.
Currently, Jalen Batley up there on the top with a 51.488.
And Ayrton Grimm still sitting in 2nd. This could be his breakout weekend. Was just shy of a win a couple of times at Lime Rock Park in 2024. And then once they had switched to a different car to rent earlier in the year, they just didn't really have the speed. And then when they bought this car, it really struggled. And they've found a lot of pace in it.
Like I said, setup and maintenance and like just knowing the ins and outs of these cars, getting everything out of it is huge. You can change gearing also with teeth on the chain, a few allowed options. So they're figuring it out.
Yeah, Ayrton's got a great social media presence as well, and he's young. I think 16 years old, and
started driving with us when he was 15 in GLTC.
Yeah, and he's had a lot of success there. But at 16 years old to already be doing the media game as well and playing it well, I think is great. As the checkered flag is waving, so next time by the stripe will be the last lap of the day here for our coverage at GRIDLIFE Pit Race. We're going to be cold track after this. We'll be fired up again in the morning at 8:45 for the first of the track battle heats. We won't cover the Rush warm-up in the morning. And that will give us some time to get set for our track battle heat that will likely see records fall once again. But
beautiful day and no full course yellows in any of the qualifying. I love to see that.
Yeah, that was great news.
Great job to all the drivers out there and the crew and our families back home.
Scott Pruitt. Yeah. All right, coming back to the checkers here, and there's Paul Click in the 71, and right behind that is AJ Campo.
Yes.
Yep. P13 for AJ. We'll see if she can pick up maybe on this run to the checkers. And she does not, neither does Click. So that will basically wrap it up. I don't know that Anderson's going to go quicker after all that many laps, but it should be Jalen Batley on provisional pole. We'll look at results here in just a moment's time. As the last of the runners come back around, there's Max Krause, Sam Reed in the 256. We're reading it up 12th. I think there's more speed in that car.
Yeah, Reed is one of the leaders behind the Rush factory, actually. And glad to see him after pit race announced it wasn't going to be a racetrack. He said, I'm going racing again, and came back cross country from Laguna out to here.
Yeah, give it a go. Why not?
Yep.
So the other thing we've got, I do have a Fire Link, or I don't, but Ayrton Grimm has a Fire Link on board. He's actually paired up with the Fire Laps folks, so
nice.
We won't get a chance to look at it too much throughout the weekend, but we'll give it a try through one of the races and see what Ayrton's doing as far as.
It would be interesting to compare some of the G-Force data to the GT cars as well.
I think it'd be, super interesting. So with that, let's have a look at the results here for the GRIDLIFE Rush Series qualifying. Everyone is on a cool-down lap at this stage, so we'll wrap up things here from Pittsburgh International Race Complex. Jalen Batley to the top, Ayrton Grimm, Jason Ayler, Max Krause, and Jared Anderson, your top 5. Rob Desjardins, Lee Kellert, Boysen, Billingsley, and Tripp Stout, the rest of the top 10. And there's a look down the rest of the order. Any surprises here, Adam? I think Grimm up top is really solid.
Yeah, good to see him having a solid qualifying. When they're fast, they're fast. And when they're broke, they're broke. I want him to be fast. It'd be fun to watch him have a great way to end the year here.
Yeah, so there's your results for the GRIDLIFE Rush Series qualifying, and we'll have a look here at some highlights from this session as the field rolled off here late in the day. A couple of practice sessions early on to get everyone.
That is a great shot.
Isn't that fantastic? Yeah. It's like a Netflix documentary. It's unbelievable out there. Chuck Desjardins in the 55 warming up there, and so was the rest of the field. No points for the season on the line this weekend, but still a trophy for the weekend. So it reduces some of that pressure, but opportunities for a lot of these teams.
I love that we're here to race just this weekend. Let's lay it all on the line, have a good time, and end the year and the life of this beautiful facility. Hopefully everybody has the best time ever the next 2 days.
Yeah, the GRIDLIFE Rush Series qualifying complete, and on top of the board in the very end of the session, it was Jalen Batley, dominant force here, and day one of the GRIDLIFE competition here from Pittsburgh International Race Complex is complete, and so is GRIDLIFE Rush Series qualifying for pit race, racing, and more track battle tomorrow and on Sunday to finish out our championships and our weekend.